wide selection just for you. No matter the type of game, Blacksite Studio has exactly what you are looking for. They have new releases all the time, and their catalog continues to grow. So the next time you're considering new terrain, jump over to Blacksite Studio, and you will find just what you need. Remember to let them know you heard from us. Blacksite Studio, the official sponsors of the Sitrep podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a Sunday afternoon of amazing gaming. This is your Sitrep podcast team, and we are talking C.Q.B today. We are going to be doing a Let's Play. I threw out the challenge to Jim. Jim's on the other end of this. Jim, you want to shout out?
Everyone. Hi, everybody. How you doing? Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. So I threw out a challenge to Jim, I'd say about, this time yesterday, and say, hey, Jim, let's create a map, or should I be more precise and say, you create a map, and let's do a online play test of Contact Front, which we talked about in the podcast.
And I said, gee, I think you're crazy. You want to design an entire new way to play a whole new game I've never heard of before, including brand new maps, terrain, and playing pieces. Give me a couple hours. I'll be right back to you.
And lo and behold, the gauntlet was thrown down, and he did it. So here we are. We're going to give this a try. It's kind of a new experience. I mean, it runs the format of your other games,
right?
You know. But this is a miniatures-based rule set, and we're going to do it online in virtual. And I found, and I was thinking about this, Jim, is that this actually makes it playable, so people who want to play a miniatures game can do it no matter where they are in the world. So I think
there will be a few small differences, like true line of sight. You obviously won't ever be able to put your eye down on the table,
right?
So like terrain and line of sight might be a little different, and of course you have to make the miniatures, make the playing pieces yourself. Yeah, I mean, it's easier to make the pieces. That'll never look quite as good as real 3D, resin or metal, or stuff that people spend hours painting, obviously. But we built these armies in literally less than 12 hours. So,
and the awesome thing about this was, I didn't have to paint a darn thing.
No, I didn't have to get on a plane either.
So, all right. So here you guys see is the title screen from Jim. What software are you using to create this game?
Okay, so the game's created, obviously, by God's Eye Games. Now, as far as what we're playing it on, it's going to sound crazy, but it's just straight out Excel. And then, a shared desktop experience. You can do that through Skype. You can do that through, I think, Discord. You can do it. You can do it through Roll-D20. There's 100 different options.
Yep.
But pretty much anything that allows two people to look at the same screen. Some of the more high-end models allow people to share keyboard and mouse controls so they can move their own pieces. But with a game this small, you can just say, hey, look, move me here, and I'll move you there. And you're looking at it in real time. So, it's very easy to, make sure that your pieces move the way you want them to. And now to make the pieces is, a full Adobe suite. We do Adobe, or I should say Photoshop 14, Illustrator, InDesign, things like that. It all gets put together as transparent background PNGs. And going over to our full map, or even here on our title screen, all these pieces are movable. So if somebody decides to get in that truck, I mean, I don't think we'll be doing that today because the rules are a little more different for that. But getting into a truck and driving it around, you can rotate your truck around wherever you want. Again, this is the title screen, so the words are going to be in the way a little bit. But yeah, it's easy to do. The pieces move around with no problem. We have little counters made up for wound levels and for actions and activations and things like that. So yeah, everything moves around. The terrain doesn't move around. The buildings don't get up and walk around. At least they're not supposed to. But yeah, you can literally sit down and play, or at least get the feel of a miniatures game. It's never going to look the same as an actual 6x4 table. but you can actually sit down and create a game. Number one, yes, you were saying before, it's very, I literally built both Taliban and U.S. Army and terrain and board and everything. It was a long night, but it was one night. But really, it allows us to play a miniature type game, no matter where we are. I mean, I'm down here in South Florida, you're out there in Chicago.
Yep.
And with a little bit of forgiveness, again, the terrain rules aren't going to work exactly the same. This especially comes into play with elevation. So I left elevation off of this board. But buildings, trees, cars, the usual stuff. You go through the usual rigmarole as far as, okay, let's agree that this field is difficult terrain. Let's say these walls are low walls, these compound walls are high. The stuff you go through with your opponent before any miniatures game.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have a quick discussion on terrain, and then after that, you can move your pieces around and do your little thing as always. You can have a line of sight. In case you're not entirely sure, like usually people use a ruler or a piece of string or something like that. You can check lines of sight like that. You can do almost anything you do on a miniatures table here virtually. When it comes to a miniatures game that doesn't use our usual stuff, some sort of a grid or a hex grid or even a square, quadrilateral grid or anything like that.
Yep.
Where that starts to get a little weird, I don't want to say weird, where that starts to get, I don't want to say difficult, but it is scaling. So I sort of tried to because, obviously you can't hold a ruler up to your screen. 6 inches now on your screen is very different than 6 inches on your screen now.
Yeah.
So we have to have like these little transparent background PNG pieces here for a standardized scale. These do not change during the game, so our measurements don't change. And again, the board is measured to be on this scale here, 72 inches by 48 inches. So we're looking at a 6x4 table. I don't know. I think that's kind of big for contact front. This is my first game with contact front, but I think that's a little big, but we can just play with a part of the board or something. And again, 28 millimeter miniatures. The most of the 28 millimeter miniatures I have, the base is a little bit smaller than 1 inch. So scaled like that, and then everything after that scaled off of the guys, off of the miniatures, like the trucks and the buildings and so on. An operator here can go through this door.
Yeah.
He's like the same size as the crates. He can go up the door. He can go up the staircase here. Except I just moved the world like I always do. I hate when that happens. Yep. He can go up the stairs and get on the roof and go in the buildings, interact with the terrain. Again, pretty much anything that you do in a miniature setting. It's just 2-dimensional instead of 3-dimensional, which is a little bit of a compromise.
Yeah, but you're going to get the feel of the game for the most part.
Absolutely.
And for us, we're play testing a game we've never played before. And so this will get us the understanding of the rules. So,
Right. Yeah, we should say that as far as this game goes, I was reading it last night as well as, creating all the stuff for it. So, and Gianna's been through it a little bit. So yeah, this is definitely our first time. And we're trying with a very small force. I only set up one squad of Americans and roughly, maybe not quite too many, but or maybe not quite enough, but I don't want to get, I don't want to have the Americans get slaughtered in the first game because I don't know the rules. But I also have a Taliban force set up.
Yeah.
That is probably a little too small. They're about the same size as the American force, but the American force is obviously, man for man much better because, they're trained soldiers and so on. So that's going to be a little different as far as, the quality of the troops. And we'll get into that as far as, the rules of the game and, how much we agree with the game and whether we like it or whatever.
Sure.
We're going to find out. We can read the rules and talk about it on the podcast, but until we actually try it, we don't really know how the game's going to behave. So, is it a full-scale table? No, obviously, but it's going to allow us to really push some miniatures around a virtual table and get a feel of what the game, how it actually plays.
Exactly. Which I think is an awesome way of putting our money where our mouth is. So. I'm excited to give this a shot. I'm just trying to pull up my rule book here as well on the computer. Do you want to kind of talk us through the scenario you set up?
Okay, so one part of the short answer, yes. So one thing that a Contact Front seems to have really down is their objective system. What's going to happen is either two players will just roll a d6 to see who has like overall like battlefield initiative or campaign area initiative, whatever, who's on the front foot as far as controlling this particular area of Afghanistan. We should say this game is primarily set in the early part of the Afghanistan war. So from 2002 to 2006 is really what they're aiming at here. I don't see why that game couldn't be, expanded outwards. They do give you 2 Taliban lists. One Taliban list is going to be for what they call the invasion. So that's like late 2001, right after the towers came down. We first go into Afghanistan, and the Taliban has very different support factions there. You actually have, some tanks you might running around and stuff like that. And then the Taliban second list is what they call early insurgency, and that's 2002 to 2006. So based within that framework, they give you a series of missions that you can pick. The person that quote unquote won initiative, and sometimes a D6 roll, according to what I've read in the rules. And it's also sometimes, if you're in part of a larger campaign setting, which this game does have in the back of its book, where you have like a series of linked scenarios, so 5 to 10 games, it's like roughly what they say at least 5. Is roughly what they suggest. And, whoever won the last one, gets some sort of a bonus or gets to pick or whatever. And basically you get to pick that mission.
Okay.
Okay, so now the other side gets to pick a mission. The reason you roll that pregame initiative is because some missions don't work with certain other missions. So if you have the advantage or you have the initiative as the Americans and you pick a certain mission, I can only pick a Taliban mission that is compatible with the mission that you picked first, because you got first pick pretty much.
Right.
Then once you get that in that mission list, it'll give you either a red list or a blue list as far as objectives go. And different scenarios. Some scenarios are like casualty evacuation, or hearts and mines, or set up a checkpoint, or clear for IEDs. They're a little bit more defensive. They're a little bit less aggressive. They're less kinetic. Maybe that's the best word. Whereas there's search and destroy. There's snatch up a high value target or something like that. And that's like there's a weapons cache of guys in here. If you roll the option to get an A-10 Warthog in there and blow the place off the face of the earth or whatever, go for it. Whereas that might be like what you would call your red objective list, whereas your blue objective list might be more, ensure there are no casualties, make sure you don't hit any civilians. It's a little bit less kinetic. And so the mission will tell you whether or not you're getting a red or a blue list. Okay, so you pick an object off, you pick some objectives off of whichever list corresponds. There's 2 choices, red or blue. So you pick objectives off of that list. You don't tell the other side what those are. And there's criteria as far as where they have to be. And there's actually a miniature map that you draw of this map, which I don't suggest that we get into on our first try. I was going to keep today very, very simple. We're going to see how units move and shoot and whatever. But a full playthrough of this game gets a little bit more into hidden objectives and things like that. All that said, the opposing force does know what mission you picked and what list you're on, blue or red, so they can narrow it down.
Excellent.
And both sides have the same number of the same number of points. So there's 5 points, 5 victory points, 10 victory points, and 15 victory point objectives. And your point in the game is to get to 15. So before the game, you can say, okay, I'm going to set up 3 5 points, or a 5 and a 10, or a 10 and a 5, or just one big 15. And the enemy doesn't know exactly where those are.
Okay.
But the enemy knows what mission you're on. They know, obviously, whether or not you're on the blue list or the red list, because each mission only comes with one choice in that regard. And they have the book right in front of them, so they know, okay, if he's going for that, that has to be in my third of the table. If he's going for this has to be in this side of the table. He's already accomplished this objective. That was worth 5. So he can't be doing another 15. I can mark these off the list. So there's a little bit of a metagame that they have built into it, which I think is pretty interesting. But for today, I have a squad of Americans. Actually, it would be an Army squad because it's 2 fire teams of 4. So I have an Army squad, and I have a Taliban. Didn't really have squads, but they have a Taliban force. Now I am using these forces as right out of the book. So let me scroll down here super fast. We'll look at our Americans. If I can find them, because I'm pretty zoomed in here. I want to show off how great these little pieces look. That's why I'm probably not zoomed out as much as I should.
Where did you get them from? Or where did you create them?
You draw these.
No.
I draw these. Yeah, I draw them in Photoshop.
What?
I'll open up Photoshop. I'll open up Photoshop and show you.
You should do that on a Thursday night stream and show people how you drew these, just for time's sake.
Okay.
You know, if you want to create a miniatures-based game online. I mean, seriously, you drew those? You're much more talented than I give you credit for.
I do some. I am by trade a freelance graphic designer. I mean, I do data management now, but in past jobs, I have been a full-time graphic designer. So,
wow.
Yeah, I do this stuff once in a while. Sometimes I'll look into like a Google Images and like a PNG, but you won't find this image on Google Images. Well, maybe you will now. But it gets put into Photoshop, and then I'm like, okay, what needs to change? And it's not like, yeah, it's original, but it's not like 100%.
Right.
Like seriously, no false modesty, like 95% original.
Wow, that's amazing.
But I don't get a. Let me show my webcam here for a second. I don't start off with the artist posing tool or whatever, and literally start on a sketch pad or whatever. I mean, I would be here till Christmas, designing this one thing. But yeah, those are drawn. Those are original for this game. They have the different weapons. The weapons are heroically proportioned, just so it's easier to tell what the guys actually have. Like that M4 looks more like a flamethrower at this moment. But we have one fire team with 2 M4 assault carbines. We have one M16 with a 203, a standard U.S. Army fire team, and an M249. So that's 4-man fire team, usually led by a corporal. That is an American fire team. Okay, an American rifle squad is typically made up of 2 of those teams: M16, M4, M4, and 249. Again, this is a corporal. This is your point guy, and then you've got your grenadier, and then you've got your A gunner, your M249. And then leading the show is at least an E5 sergeant. And he's our NCO, and he's got certain abilities in the game for rallying units, generating additional orders for activations and things like that. Again, American forces usually have at least 2 squads, and then a support squad that makes up a platoon, and then there's all kinds of there's a company game. There's even aspects or options for what they call a battalion game. I don't know if they really mean a battalion game.
A battalion game? I mean, goodness.
That's what they're talking about. I think they're just using that phrase. I don't know if I would put 600 miniatures on a table.
I'm assuming at that level, they're a miniatures representing a certain amount. Is it maybe a squad or something?
It would almost have to.
Yeah.
I mean, I put battalions on the table in Valor and Victory, where each piece is up to 8 men, and even that takes a long time. That big Vol River game was a battalion size.
Yeah, that was an awesome game.
Yeah, but doing that WYSIWYG, you have like literally 600 pieces.
Yeah.
You'd be there till the next war started. Okay, so those are the Americans, and then we have the Taliban. So the Taliban has what they call a fighter cell, and that's just 4 guys with AKs. Super quick, super easy.
Yep.
One nice thing about creating miniatures, I say miniatures this way, is you can create it once, and then you can paint an army really fast with the mastery of the Control-C, Control-V button. You could have 600 guys at the table, faster than you think. But in all seriousness, there's one cell there, 4. I was going to throw in a second cell, but again, we're just testing out the game. We're going to see how it goes. And then what else we have going on here? Okay, another element that the game gives you. I should say I'm using the early insurgency list here.
Okay.
So no tanks or no, the Taliban is not actually an army. It's more of an insurgency. Then what we have here is an RPG team. It's an RPG and an AK guy. Again, 2-man team. They have a light support weapon team. You'll notice that these units are not baked into the fire team. Like the American fire team has a grenade launcher in the fire team. The American fire team has, I mean, not an RPG, but an M203 grenade launcher in the fire team. Here, those are separate elements.
Okay.
That's just the way that, you know, these other armies, or I shouldn't say armies, I should say insurgencies, set up. So again, I try to make these guys look a little bit like Taliban. You know, they have the beard, they have the headdress, whatever that vaguely looks like an AK, you know, up from the top. Again, same down here with the RPG. Again with the AKM. Then we have the PKM. Again, heroically proportioned, so it you know, it looks a little bit, you know, it's a little bit easier to tell what's what. Also, the label helps us, you know, keep track of what, because obviously these different weapons have different games. It's not just decorative. They have different game effects. And then there's also a command team, and the command team is an older gentleman. His beard is bigger. His beard is wider, whiter, I should say. But yeah, this is like your local leader, your local warlord, your local cell leader or whatever. And he's got a second guy, his first cousin or something, who knows where, you know, who like runs around with him and kind of keeps him safe. But he's also packing an AK himself. I didn't want to give him Sergeant Chevron, so I just gave him a star. But he basically has the same game characteristics as the American Sergeant go. He's basically the guy in charge. So as you can see, the Taliban outnumber the army by a little, but probably not by enough. Usually I'm picturing insurgents outnumbering coalition forces by at least 2, maybe 3 to 1. This is like 1.3 to 1. Mm-hmm. It's fine. If we ever get into vehicles, these vehicles can all move. And like I was saying before, sometimes you have technicals. You can have obviously American, British coalition vehicles. Aircraft are in the game. If you get into the more heavy support options, we have little things like these objective markers here. Those, I think those are like clay bottles or some sort of jars. They also look to me suspiciously like artillery rounds. This might be an IED factory.
Okay.
That later on, if we play a more involved session, you know, that might be some sort of an objective. Or as if you're playing the Americans, you could pick that as your objective. And again, I don't know what your objectives are.
Yeah.
And at the end of the game, you obviously tally up and see who achieved more of their objectives. So part of the game isn't just the usual maneuver and fire, you know, kill the enemy's figures, but also figuring out what the other guy wants.
Right.
And preventing him from getting his objectives, because you can get all your objectives. If the enemy, you know, you're always playing offense and defense in a good game. Panzer Leader does this, Valorant Victory does this, and Contact Front seems to do this pretty well. You're not only playing offense, you're playing defense. You not only have to achieve your objectives, you have to make sure the enemy doesn't achieve his objectives, because you achieve all your objectives. If he achieves all of his objectives and kills one more of your guys,
mm-hmm.
he wins. And all of your success comes to naught. So, yeah, it's there's definitely a multi-layered, you know, aspect to the game. Is I guess what I'm trying to say there.
Gotcha. Well, okay. Just quick shout out. I wanted to welcome Novus Templar to the broadcast, and Skobak has jumped on. Welcome, guys. Skobak asked if this was another homebrew of the Oriskany game, and I said no. At the moment, we're actually playtesting Contact Front's rule set, but with Jim's graphics. So we're doing a virtual tabletop.
This is right out of the book. We're trying to give the game an earnest, although admittedly, I'll say right up front, incomplete playtest, because again, we're not doing the full objective system, mm-hmm. which seems to be one of the better parts of the game. So, like, you know, if we come back and try this again next week, we can exchange emails beforehand and be like, okay, I'll take this objective, you take, you know, or something like that. But just because you have to fill a little they call it the Sitrep sheet, ironically. We should get royalties for that.
Right?
Right?
I'd have to pay it to the U.S. government and every other government, too, also.
There you go. We have to, there's actually you almost have like a little paper version of your table map, which obviously is much bigger than this. And what you would do is you would actually map out your objectives in secret. And you have to draw them on there. And at the end of the game, you reveal them to the other player. And they're like, okay, I reached this one and that one, but not this one.
Right.
I get 10 points. What did you do? And then you show me your sheet. Oh, look, you got all 15 points of your objectives. You got 15. I got 10. I killed 3 points worth of. There's other ways you can get victory points by killing enemy figures, evacuating wounded, saving civilians, disabling IEDs or whatever. You know, I got 10 points of my objectives, and then I did 4 points of other stuff.
Uh-huh.
You got 50 points. of your objectives, but didn't all you accomplished was the mission, you still win 14-15. Is how the points system seems to really work.
Excellent.
All right. We're ready to go with some wound markers here. There's 3 levels of wound tiers. In a game this small, I don't think we'll need anything else. Again, this is also a very small game based on some of the army lists.
Right.
But other than that, I think we're pretty much ready. I don't know. Do you have any? Have you had a chance to go through any of the rules? Or?
I've been browsing through them, so we'll hash it out. I mean, the order of play seems pretty typical. You know, rally phase, casualty activation, yada yada yada. So we'll get through it. So, yeah.
All right. So I'll play the Taliban.
Okay.
And I'll be set up ahead of time. So here are my guys in their building.
Well, you know what? So what is kind of the objective for today's set?
Okay, so let me zoom out the whole map.
Yep. Just give everybody that background. It's
usually like I said, you sort of pick it off of a menu, and how do we want to do this? You pick it off of a menu, so to speak, and it's divided by table thirds. So you want to keep it kind of simple. Do you want to say that there's 3 buildings on the map?
Yep.
And whoever controls at least 2 out of 3 buildings, this is like a village that we're trying to.
Yeah, that's fine.
We'll say that, I mean, this is not how Contact Front usually works. But just for the game for today, the Taliban are a little outgunned because there's only like 10 of us versus 9 of you, and obviously you're American Army. So even though we do have a very slight edge in numbers, 10%, I think your force is more powerful. Yeah, I was just going to say we set up on the map, and yeah, at the end of the table, I should say at the end of the game, it's who controls 2 out of 3 buildings. That's a very easy and shorthand system to do that.
Yep.
Does that sound all right?
Yeah, sounds good.
Epic. Okay, I'll put 1 cell over here. We'll say that we've heard Blackhawks flying overhead, so we know something's coming. These guys are on the roof. They're not like indoors. Obviously, there's the staircases that let the people come down the roof. And okay, what else do I want here? My support teams. Where's my RPG guy? You down with RPG? And my LSMW will, they'll stay here as well. Keep things simple for now. We'll give you that first building. I don't want to get into a huge pitched gun battle right off the. Well, you know what? Just to kind of get the stream going.
Yeah.
I'll put. I'll somewhat unwisely put 1 support team down there.
Oh, okay.
I probably shouldn't, come in that or shouldn't deploy that far forward. But again, movement in this game is 5 inches per order, and you get 2 orders a turn. So you're moving 10 inches a turn. Again, I think I made this map a little big. People who play HK Ops will probably recognize some elements of this table. It doesn't quite look exactly the same. It's been resized for 28mm miniatures. But just for now, otherwise it'll be another half hour before any lead goes down range. So yeah, these guys will be here. They heard something. Everyone's been hearing. So the Taliban know you're coming.
Yeah.
They've heard Blackhawks head flying overhead. They're like, oh man, here they come. And even though the boss back here says, hey, let's fade back and defend our ground in depth, these 2 guys are very very earnest to prove their courage. So they're up ahead. Okay.
Yep.
And I guess your guy would enter from anywhere on the southern, the southern third of the table. So there's 1 foot, there's 2 foot. Again, it's a 6 foot table. So let me get this little arrow here. Anywhere west of that line.
Wow.
That's the western third of the table.
That's not much room, is it?
You don't have to come in from the. Well, again, we're not really. How about anywhere?
No, that's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, anywhere on that third of the table.
Okay. Cool.
You don't have to come out that road, much less than, pretty much single file.
Uh-huh.
That's just me setting up the board.
Gotcha.
Okay, so this poppy field here, or whatever, where they grow their hash,
Uh-huh.
this is I think they call it difficult terrain.
Were you calling that difficult? Okay.
Yeah, where it's your 5 inches minus a D. I think it's a D3.
Yep.
Lord, okay, cool. I'm already getting lost on the rules. We haven't even started yet.
That's all right.
These low walls are like garden walls. They don't slow down anything.
Okay.
Any of these bushes and trees will do the same thing, -3. These high walls, if you're not going through a door, 3. And if you want to try the door breaching rules, these interior doors, obviously there's no door here. If you see where my cursor is, hold on. Obviously there's no door here. There's no door. Like there's a doorway, but there's no like physical door in the way.
Okay.
But whenever you're going inside of a building, there'll be a door there if you want to try the breaching rules.
Okay.
Or we can skip it. Again, this is a super informal.
Well, let's just start with the simple, and we'll work our way as we approach things. I mean, that's probably the easiest way to do it.
Sounds like a plan. So, the Taliban is set up. The Americans have initiative, so the Americans enter the table.
Okay.
And you start off with rally phase. I'm looking here at the order of play. Rally phase, I don't think anyone's pinned yet, so There's no real rally phase.
No casualties.
Phase, it's activation phase. So this activation rule sounds a little like battle group, where you roll 1d6 and you add the number of NCOs.
Okay.
Now, everyone just kind of calm down. They are counting the American sergeant as an NCO, not the corporal fire team commanders. Now, as an actual Marine corporal, fire team leader, that gets under my skin a little bit. But it does make sense for game balance because the British squads are set up very differently. If you counted American corporals, fire team leaders, as full-on NCOs in this game, the Americans would be like ridiculously overpowered. They would never. There would be no point in rolling order dice because a squad would have 3. It'd be 1d6 plus 3, and you only have basically 3 units.
Yeah.
So, anyways, your roll is 1d6.
Okay.
As always, and then you add 1 for your sergeant.
All right, rolling a dice, and I got a 5 plus a 1.
So you have 6 orders.
Yeah, 6 orders. Excelente. And let me clear off the dice from the camera.
You literally only have 3 units.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's not...
Okay. Are you going to control the board then, Jim?
Yeah.
Okay.
If that's good.
Yeah, that's cool. So the lead squad or fire team you have showing there, can they enter from let's say 5 inches in from the corner there? Yeah, about there. And they go 5 inches, right?
Yep.
Let's put them along the wall. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, let's not keep them out in the open. Let's put them along the wall if we can.
Okay, so the wall will. Again, we're going to be kind of tiptoeing through the system here. It's our first time actually trying this. Mud-walled compounds, HESCO container barriers, partially destroyed walls. Yeah, that'll be reinforced cover, the 3+ for cover safe.
Okay.
Okay. Obviously, if they're, if the wall's between you and the source of fire. Obviously.
Yep.
So the lead guy is here. One thing I didn't see, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong.
What's that?
Is what the dispersion, if any, there is between units of a fire team. Like I know bolt action, it's never more than an inch.
That's a good question. I'll look under command and control and see what it says.
I didn't see anything, but
no. No, don't see anything. I'm not seeing anything. That's not to say it isn't in there, but nothing is jumping out. That's the let's see if it's in movement. Maybe it's in movement. 5 inches for movement.
Yep.
Challenges, move, mud, run. Each figure must be within 1 inch of another figure from the same unit.
Oh, it is in there. Okay, yeah. All right, that's cool. So again, I'm not going to measure with a ruler. Oh, is that 1 inch? Again, these bases are a little less than an inch. So as long as you're never more than like that, like that's good. The way this first squad is,
Yeah.
or I should say, this first fire team is here. I mean, something like this, that would be too much, obviously.
Yeah.
Again, a little bit more than a base between each base, I guess, is the shorthand version. Now, that was your first. I think you get 2 actions, unless I don't think you have line of sight on anybody yet. So do you want to move your other 5 inches?
Yeah, go ahead and move them up. Now, I'm assuming we're going to go across those timbers. That's going to be difficult terrain.
A D5, again, if you're walking through, you don't want to turn an ankle in there, and you're also trying to stay under cover of that woods, of that wall. That wall is like 3 or 4 feet high. It's not a full scale like compound wall. To cross the wall literally costs you nothing. You just like roll over it or jump over it.
Okay.
But to go through that little debris field, that'll be difficult terrain, I think is the actual term for it. The game mechanics are, I think it's a D3. So D6 divided by 2.
Yep.
I think it's a D3 minus your movement rate.
Yes, it is. All right.
Okay.
So let me throw the dice back up there. Transition, interact, D. So throw. I got a 2.
Cool. So
That's
it's going to be 3 inches.
Yep.
Wait, you rolled a natural 3?
No, I rolled an actual 2.
A 2 also becomes 1, so it's going to be 4 inches.
Yep.
Net. The nice thing about gaming electronically, you can pick up a whole unit at once.
Nice.
1, 2, 3, 4. Again, they're hugging that wall, and they're trying to maintain their 1 inch dispersal between bases in the unit.
Yep.
Zoom in a little bit more.
So Skoback just commented. He said, immediately this feels like Battle Group.
There are some tables and some rules in this game that are very, very similar to Battle Group. There's a lot that's out of force on force. Like Battle Group has no casualty management system that I'm aware of. This game does have a casualty management system. The objective system doesn't feel like either Battle Group or force on force. I don't play every game in the world, so I don't, most games I think are, draw inspiration from other games. But yeah, there are some parts of this game. I was reading it through the rule book, especially some of the charts, the cover saves, the area fire, the command tables, and I was like, oh wow, this is going to be helpful, because when you're trying a brand new system, especially when you're doing it live in front of a whole community, over the internet with OBS crashing and internet
no
problems,
pressure, Jim. No pressure.
Every little bit helps. And I'm like, oh, that sounds familiar. That's actually a good thing. Thank you very much. Okay, right. So that's Fire Team 1.
Yep.
Fire Team number 2.
Okay, so Fire Team number 2. Now, the vegetation that you have close to the dotted yellow line, are those trees, bushes? What's the terrain feature?
Just to go through that, it's going to take off the D6, or should I say the D3.
I'm thinking visibility, line of sight, cover.
Yeah, it's going to block line of sight.
Okay.
Now, if you're in the thing, if you're actually in the cover, like this guy, like let's say this guy was here. This guy has no problem. He can see up that wall and hit this guy, with no issues. If he was firing back, he would get the cover save. It's like most games, you can shoot into terrain at a penalty. You cannot shoot through terrain.
Gotcha.
That would be wooded areas, gullies, and shrubland. Yeah, that would be a natural terrain 5+ cover save.
Okay.
This is another one of those tables that really reminds me of Battle Group.
Gotcha.
Which is not a bad thing.
No, it's not. All right, so why don't we take that fire team along with the sergeant? See, that's the thing. I don't think there's a command control, is there? For like
there is only for the Taliban. In fact, I've already violated it. Can we just give me a pass on that?
What? The Taliban didn't follow the rules? Oh my God.
Well, the reason is the Americans have no line of, no command radius. Because we have these things called radios that are kind of handy.
Right.
So as long as the sergeant is in good order, the unit is in, the whole force is in command. Whoever that sergeant, this again, a very small scenario, one squad. The whole force is in command. The Taliban has I think they call it like a local commander. It's 15 inches. For a regional commander, it's 20 inches.
Gotcha.
Because they're literally running the war by like Nokia cell phones.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
it gets a little bit tougher.
All right. Well, we're going to take Sergeant Rock there and that second fire team, and we're going to put them right into the trees, up a little north. Put them into the trees, if you would.
Yeah, sure.
So, I'll roll the die because it's going to be a.
Works.
Let me roll the die just so we've got that there. Let me interact. Okay. And throwing the d6. I got a 3 this time, so
3, so that becomes a 2. So your first move is 4 inches, so you can get there. Are you trying to say behind the trees or like in the trees?
In the trees. So I can see through, but I have still the benefit of cover.
Okay, cool. So there's there's
good old Sergeant Rock.
And then, yeah, he gets to move again.
No, I don't think I do.
Okay.
I don't think I do. And can you take the second fire team there and just put him in behind Sergeant Rock? I will roll the dice again. Just
in any particular order. Again, you got 2 M4s, a 249.
Put the 249 up front and the M203 up front.
Firepower.
And I got a 1 for a dice roll. If you're going into
okay, so he can go 5 inches. He could go further, but he would literally run into the sergeant. Do they want to pass the sergeant?
No, I'll just keep him in cover right now. So just pop them all into cover.
Well, with the 5 of movement,
I mean, I could probably go across the.
I'm literally just trying to learn the system here. Like,
yeah.
He got a 1, which means he has to subtract 1 from. Oh, that's right, 1 from 5, not 1 from 6. Sorry, never mind. Much confusion for no reason. All right, the 249 and the 203 can see out of the tree line. Let me zoom in a little bit so we can get a better view there.
Okay.
Yeah, I drew this gigantic map. We're going to wind up playing across like 6 inches.
And I'm assuming they cannot see your guys on the rooftop at this point.
I'm a little too far back. No.
Okay.
Yeah, but there is something called standby fire. I think you can use your second action to be put on standby fire. It's like ARO /
It's like reactive fire.
Yeah. If you have the rule book open in front of you.
I do. Watch and shoot steps. Enemy activates. Activate unit on watch and shoot order. Declare type of firing, individual or section. Carry out firing.
So with each activation, you get 2 orders. Where are the orders? Here are the orders. And move, individual fire, section fire, watch and shoot. That's basically their version.
Well, we're going to put them into watch and shoot at this point.
All right, cool.
It's nice that you have the tables handy like that. It makes things easier. Yep. Okay. G, I need a Sitrep background for your dice app. Do they have custom background options? Well, this is just something I pulled off Google. I will have to come up with one.
I mean, they're not that hard.
No.
To come up with a. Alrighty.
I know. That's an actual dice tray. Mine's just a Google app.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah.
I have one of those for my phone. I can literally game anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was the first action. The second action, again, everyone gets 2. I should say that for each activation, it sounds like every unit gets 2 orders.
Uh-huh.
M4, M249, M16, 203. I think they're all on. I don't know if you can split, like give M249, M16, 203. Give them wait and shoot, and then give the 2 M4s a different order. I don't know if you can do that. I think it's done by unit.
I think so. Because I can't break the fire team down any smaller. Because I think fire team is the smallest you can go.
I'm pretty sure that's true.
When I was looking at the rule, it says, remember on the battlefield you don't always have to move as one team. You might want to split into 2 teams. When activating units, the player may choose to activate individual fire teams or activate an entire section. So yeah, fire team looks like to be the smallest.
And section, according to their table, section is analogous to squad. It's basically 2 fire teams without a sergeant.
Yep.
But better corporals. That's the British version. Oh, by the way, this book is very, very British.
Very, very British.
It's very British. There's a chapter in the book called the Tea and Metals briefing or something. I'm like, wow, do I get crumpets with this or just the
crumpets? We
and
should be making fun of our British allies and friends.
They make fun of us because they made American corporals kind of worthless, and they made British corporals basically sergeants. But,
well, I have to say though,
I'm kidding.
We don't have a lot of corporals anymore in the Army. They've it's kind of rare that you have corporals. Most guys are specialists these days. It's very, they kind of moved away from the corporals thing. Just so you're aware.
Is your map showing that you're using a new microphone for your GoToMeeting?
Oh, sorry about that.
No worries.
I got a throwdown from C.Q.B that says I should use real dice. So I'm plugging in my dice camera. So I'm listening. I'm playing.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm just trying to find my dice tray.
We'll put the sergeant and fire team Bravo, we'll just call it, into Overwatch.
Overwatch.
I should say move.
Yep.
Move and shoot. I'm sorry, watch and shoot is the name of the rule.
Yeah, watch and shoot. We got to make sure we get the terminology correct for this rule set. We got to be honorable to the creators of the game. So, watch and shoot. Yes.
Now, again, I've already broken one rule. These guys are technically out of command because they're not within 15 inches of their local commander.
But that's an excusable. We're learning the rules, so now you've pointed out an important rule. So And
I put them here. Again, it's a bad tactical moves. I put them here to kind of get some muzzle flashes as quickly as possible. So, all right. I think that's the end of the American turn. We now go over to the Taliban turn. Okay. We are now ready for some combat.
Yep. Combat already? What?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
Because again, these two guys here, I'm playing very fast in this with these two guys. They're ready to show how serious they are. So I'm going to act. Oh, I'm sorry. Going through the motions as we should. A D6 plus. I have one local cell leader. He's basically my sergeant. All right. I roll a 5. That becomes 6. So I have plenty of orders. Okay, so I should say plenty of activations. Where that number might get a little bit scarier is when you're playing with a bigger game. Again, we're playing with such small forces. We're going through the order phase almost as a technicality.
Yep.
You'd have to roll a 1 and your whole force would have to be pinned down and your sergeant would have to be dead in order for you to actually get to the point where I don't have enough orders to move everybody. It is technically possible. It's going to become really possible in a bigger platoon level game, especially with the Taliban because they don't have, the same NCOs and officers that the coalitions do. So they use their movement to go their 5 inches here. Okay, they're going to take their second action to fire. The thing is, these 3 clowns here have line of sight on them, and you put them in Overwatch mode.
Yeah.
Or I should say, wait and shoot mode. So again, we're kind of putting the game pretty much through its facings here. I do have partial cover from that little bit of a wall lip that the Middle Eastern buildings tend to have on the roof. So you'll have partial cover from your fire, but then again, you're looking at saw, an M4, and a grenade launcher. Now the grenade launcher gets to pick. Is he firing an HE round or is he firing his regular rifle?
We're gonna go. Well, come on, HE round. We gotta go for the good stuff.
Awesome. All right. So again, if we're doing any of this wrong, folks, I do apologize. But the point of some sort of Overwatch fire or watch and shoot is to shoot before the enemy gets the second action. So she put her forces in, or put those 3 particular men in watch and shoot mode. Unit goes into ambush mode and can interrupt enemy turn with 1 round of individual fire. Perfect. So you're interrupting my turn, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Cool. So, oh man, the first time we actually shoot in this game. Lord help us. Okay. All right. So coalition rolls a D6. In your rule book, does it say a 6 is a kill, a 4, a 5 is a wound, and a 1 through a 3 is a miss?
Yes.
Does it say that on a certain page?
Page 11.
Okay, the charts, this might be something they might want to fix in the PDF. The charts say otherwise.
Oh,
The
really?
charts, yeah. I'm looking at the chart right here. So according to the chart,
Where did you get your charts from? You said the
these charts are in
PDF
the back of the
or the
charts
book?
are in the back of the book. Yeah, the back of the PDF or the PDF book. I don't have a physical copy.
Oh,
But according to the chart in the back of the book, it's Coalition D6. A 6 is a kill, a 5 is a wound, and a 1 through a 4 is a miss.
yeah. Okay, because I'm using the
I think
PDF
page-
rulebook
Yeah.
that they sent me. And where'd you get your chart from?
Yep.
So we can point this out to people.
It
Again?
is at the back, in the back appendix or whatever, the back couple pages of the exact same PDF.
Oh, really? So we have okay.
I think there's that inconsistency in the PDF. It's why I was bringing it up.
Hey, Gaz has joined us on YouTube. Hey, Gaz, how are you?
All right, guys, we're giving this game a shot. We're probably getting many things wrong here, but we're giving it a try.
All right, so we do have firing modifiers. Did the target move last turn?
I'm moving this turn, so I don't know. That's actually kind of confusing the way that's written.
Yeah.
I am moving. Did I move last? Yeah, I moved my last order phase or whatever.
So it's a negative
Obscure
one?
target. If it's harder to hit a moving target than a standing.
Oh, I
target.
see. Okay, I've got to remember how these. Okay. All right. So the question is, Jim, which fire chart are we using? The one on page 11 or the one in the appendix?
I would say we use the one on page 11.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think the game is, especially for the coalition, is non-lethal enough. Yeah, I'm gonna go with 6 is a kill, 4 and 5 is a wound, and 1 through 4 is a.
Okay.
I'm sorry, 1 through 3 is a miss.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I have a -1 for target has moved. Because we're just going to go off if the target moves in an interrupt, because they're looking at this from I'm firing, but if they're interrupting a movement, then I still would count that. Yes?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Obscured target. Is more than half of it obscured by that wall?
I don't know if more than half. Probably not.
Okay.
So give me a second here. I just don't want the modifiers to stack, because I'm looking at this chart, which now, of course, I can't find. Examples of cover and terrain. I wonder if this table is just for area fire. You're not taking, I think they call it section fire. You're not taking suppressive fire. You're actually going for kill fire, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I think this, I'm hoping I'm not saying this wrong, but I'm pretty sure that this table applies to cover fire. Or not cover fire, section fire. You're trying to pin the guy down with section fire as opposed to individual fire.
Well, according to the chart,
Okay.
that's section fire. Watch enemy activates, activate unit, watch order, declare type of firing, individual fire or section fire.
Yep.
Carrying out firing is per usual chosen on type of fire.
Right. So individual fire.
Well, the individual fire would be like my 203.
No, individual fire is like one guy is actually like lethal fire. There's individual fire where you're trying to hit an enemy person and knock them down. Then
a
there's called
specific
section
person?
fire, which is more suppressive. Which is suppressive fire. And it's a little annoying because at the moment I can't seem to find that particular chart. I thought I had all the charts. Okay, individual HE chart. Individual HE. Ugh. I have everything except what I need. Section fire steps.
Okay, so clear line of sight. We don't want. Yeah. Fire, standby, target. Individual firing steps. Measure distance. Choose the weapons.
Yep. I got it. Choose which weapons to fire. Roll the number of dice equal to firepower. Coalition player. Roll the number of dice D6s. Rolls for cover saves. Okay, I do get cover saves. See the cover safe chart. Yeah, there's the one we were looking at. 4 to 5 is a wound for coalition. The chart in the back of the book says,
Yeah.
okay, cover safe.
So,
you get the cover safe.
Based on what I'm reading, I roll for firepower and I roll for hit. Well, I roll the number of dice equal to the firepower. Coalition players roll the number of d6 equal to firepower. Okay, so I roll for hits first. Any hits, then you roll for a cover save.
Right.
And then we resolve.
My only question was, and maybe this is a thing in the game, is, okay, my guy is technically behind a small wall, like a sandbag in place and partially destroyed walls. This wall's not very high. So do I get the 4+ on top of the -1?
Well, the -1,
like double.
The -1, yeah, because I'm trying to shoot at a moving target.
Yeah, I'm talking about the
so that's my to hit. So that's my accuracy. If I hit you, or
this one I understand. Target move last turn -1.
Yep.
That I'm talking about obscured target half or
this
more.
Is where the actual line of sight comes in on a game table, because you're looking at your miniature. Is more than half of the miniature obscured?
Let's just punt and just say that no, half of it is not obscured.
Well, or we could roll a dice, odd for obscured, even for unobscured. Whatever you want to go with.
All right, let's just say that they're not obscured.
Okay, all right.
It looks like I'm going to get a 4+ on my save anyway.
Okay. All right, so we got to figure out firepower, right?
Yep.
Okay, so
the good news is you're going to get a lot of dice. So,
what is a 203 considered?
Well, assault rifle is 1. Light machine gun is a 3. I think that's a saw, right?
Yeah.
Oh my god! I thought they gave us examples.
I don't see a grenade launcher. Do you?
No, that's going to be under a whole different set of rules. That's going to be under HE damage chart.
Okay.
HE. Yeah, you're rolling something else. And oh my god, individual HE firing steps. Measure the distance. Yeah, you're within range. In fact, if anything, you're too close. Roll a d6 to see if the shot hits the target. Check the individual HE range chart for the required roll. 0 to 10 inches, you're within 10 inches, so it's a 2+. The HE shell's going to hit, pretty much.
Okay.
If successful, the number of dice equivalent to the weapon's firepower rating. Roll the number of dice. I have to find what that HE's, what the thing's firepower rating is. UGL, underpowered grenade launcher.
Okay.
Dice. The thing is, it impacts everything in a certain radius. Blast radius of 3 inches.
All right. So we got to measure out 3 inches.
I'm pretty sure they're within 3 inches.
Well, no, that's the blast radius. So we got to see who's in 3 inches of the radius. If any of my guys are in it.
I don't think you're that close. Well, at least I hope not.
I hope not.
Real life check. Don't M203s only like arm after a certain number of. Oh wait. Yeah, it depends on exactly where you aim it. So maybe if you aim it between the two, you'll be outside of 3 inches.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because we have to use a token for aiming point. Did you create tokens, Jim?
Only for wound levels. I did create one for aiming point. I know. Epic fail. Ready? Let me see if I can go ahead and fix that. I can't possibly overcome this obstacle. Oh, wait, there's one. Aiming point. All right. You put the aiming point there. Now you're 4 inches away. You won't catch your own shrapnel.
Excellent.
You're 3.75 inches away with my newly created aiming point token.
You are the man. Look at that. Modern technology at its finest. And I'm a retard, and I can't find my dice tray. I can't find dice. I only have 2 rooms dedicated to gaming. But do I have dice? Oh, no.
Oh, no.
But I have pulled some out of somewhere.
What's going on, Mr. Ralph? How you doing, sir?
Hey, buddy. All right. I'm going to pull out some
actual dice, though. Yep.
I'm going to pull out some Bushido dice. And okay, so I'm using 2 dice. Let's do the 203 first, yeah?
Yep.
Okay.
Guys, I know we're going through this very rules lawyer-wise. It's literally our first time through the game. We're trying to do the thing correct here. So yep. HE shell, 0 to 10 inches. HE shell 0 to 10 inches. Obviously, you're like 3.75 inches away.
Yep.
Your chance to hit on a D10 is, I'm sorry, on a D6 is a 2+. I don't know if any modifiers would apply.
Well, should the moving modifier still apply, or because it's
you're firing at a movie at an aiming point. The aiming point didn't move.
Yeah, that's true.
G weapons are only going against whatchamacallit, individual points.
Yep.
So no, the building's not moving. So.
Okie dokie. Well, let me roll 2 dice and see what happens.
I think it's just 1d6, and you have to just not roll a 1.
Oh, okay. Well, because it's firepower 2, right? So don't you roll 2 dice?
You roll firepower 2 once you see if the... Okay, so for HE weapons, it's a 2-step process. You lob the shell, and you make sure the shell lands where you wanted it to.
Okay.
If it does, then you assess casualties.
Okay.
As far as the firepower check. Right now, it's at 1d6... 2+ to see where it lands.
Okay, so I rolled a 5 and a 3. Well, so
okay, well, yeah, the 5 ensures that it hits where it's supposed to go. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was the first part of the roll. Then we do the damage, which for again using my little highlighter here, UGL is the game for underbarrel grenade launcher. 2 is the firepower check. And it affects everything within 3 inches, and it has the HE special rule. That's this rule we're using here, so it can affect more than one person.
Yeah.
Both of those Taliban fighters, not being the brightest crayons in the gene pool, are within 3 inches of each other. So that grenade landed pretty much right between them, and now it's going to detonate. So you're going to apply 2 dice against each target.
2 dice against each target. Okay. Do you want me to roll the targets individually or just all together?
Yeah, because you might get 2 on one and 0 on the other.
Yep. All right. So we'll roll for target 1.
Yep. The guy in the north against the AK.
So I got a 6 and a 1.
That's a kill.
Okay.
And the other one?
And the other one? That's double 6s.
The grenade struck him in the chest.
Excellent!
He looked at it and said, "What the hell is this?" Boom. Okay, guys, that's the end of my fire team. They didn't even get to shoot. Not only did they not get to shoot,
I didn't get to shoot.
The M249 didn't get to shoot, and the squad leader didn't get to shoot.
Man.
You know what that almost reminds me of? That reminds me of Pancho from Predator. He says, you're bleeding, man. I ain't got time to bleed. He's like, oh, yeah, and he throws the grenade up into the machine gun nest and blows him up.
Yep. Dang it. Oh, well, what are you going to do?
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I don't know
America.
What I'm going to do. I'm going to put a nice big explosion marker because that was epic. 3 6s. And you know what? In the podcast, she was like, this game's not lethal enough. With her first weapon, she kills 2 guys. I'm like, all right. Oh, no, I moved the world. The grenade was so powerful, it blew up the earth.
Right. Excellent day.
Boom. All right, so that's 2 guys killed.
Excellent. Now what are you going to
do? They didn't get to shoot, and the rest of your fire team didn't get to shoot.
Nope. That's all right. Save some ammo for another time.
They're waiting for their turn to opportunity fire. They're just watching body parts land. Like,
yep.
Oh man.
Excellent.
Lance Corporal Jacobson, what are you doing? All right. What are these clowns gonna do? 5 inches. Oh, you want to hit people with explosive weapons. I see how it is.
Well, you know.
I got too much terrain in my way anyway. Cool.
I can't believe I can't find my dice here. I know where it is. It's down in the downstairs. We were playing a game and I took it downstairs. No worries. No worries at all.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Uh-oh. Here they come.
Again, not playing very smart here, but sometimes it's fun playing the bad guys. in a play test, especially.
Right?
You're just like, yeah, man, let's go. Now, from here on out, let me try and keep my guys in some kind of command radius. Technically, he's already screwed up. I have to come down off these stairs. I would say jump off the building, but this gentleman is, getting up there in years. He doesn't want to jump off a building. His knees aren't what they used to be. Then he goes down the stairs, and he winds up, let's just say over there somewhere. Keep the stream going. That was, obviously, I'm taking double movement orders. I'm not, shooting anybody. So that's going to be like 1, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 for his first movement, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for a second one. Kind of using that wall a little bit. Because they're at the end of your movement, there might be some kind of.
Yeah.
Actually, that's pushing it. Oh no! This guy was already here. Hold on, before I start cheating. No, they're not. Let me not be cheesy here. The furthest guy, the guy who's furthest in the back, can only get to, if anything, here. Again, he's got to go down those stairs and end up. That would be 10 in a straight line, but he can't really go in a straight line. I'm just going to approximate it and say he winds up there, and then there, and then there. And then. They're all AKMs. So they're pretty much in the process of running off of that roof, and they're trying to get behind that wall. But in all fairness, I don't think they're going to make it in two movement phases. Okay, so I think that's it for my turn. As glorious as it was, at least for you and your grenade launcher guy. God damn it, Jacobs! Let somebody else shoot once in a while. I think that's going to be the end of turn 1. I would say we have a casualty phase, but or the Taliban casualty phase coming up, but yeah, you can't. First of all, I don't think the Taliban gets, like, our insurgents get a casualty phase. They don't walk around with medics or anything like that. And the way this is the part of the game that I think reminds me a little bit of Force on Force is the way casualties affect different kinds of units is very different, which is totally a good thing. You've got guys that are, a casualty will affect an American or a British squad very differently than somebody else. So, all right, G, it's going to be over to you. You do not have a casualty turn if you're still with us. Or do we have audio issues right now? Oh, we might have audio issues.
Sorry, I had my mic on pause. I was coughing. Sorry.
Oh, sorry about that. No worries.
No.
You're coughing from all the smoke of that exploded building when you dropped a grenade in there.
Yeah.
So, Noijitat, or I should say Gaz, you probably saw that, where she just lobbed a point-blank grenade between two of my poor helpless
poor helpless Taliban.
Poor helpless freedom fighters. They're
Yeah, that's what they're.
And well, that's what they say. And what they are now are like steaming rivulets of gore. 3 6s out of 4 dice. Yeah, they're very dead. Okay, so again, I don't think there's a rally phase or a casualty phase because you don't have any casualties yet. You were just far enough where you didn't take shrapnel from your own grenade. We measured it out. It's now up to you for your second turn.
Okay, so I am now going to be rolling for my activations, my order phase. So, all right, it's 1d6 rolling.
Yep.
I got a 2 plus 1 for my sergeant, so 3 orders. That's okay. I mean, I only have 2 fire teams, so.
Yeah, 2 fire teams and the sergeant counts as 1.
Yeah,
you have just
enough. All right, so fire.
When rolls like that become tough, it hasn't happened yet, is when someone gets pinned down.
Yeah.
In order for you to unpin one of your fire teams, you're going to what happens there is you use the NCO to unpin the team, but then he doesn't count towards your order phase.
Yeah.
Because he's busy doing something else, and that's when that 3 becomes only a 2, and now it's like, okay, that's literally all that sergeant could do because he only has 2 actions. So okay, one fire team moves, the other fire team moves, or the sergeant moves, and then one fire team can't move. In other words, things like that.
Yep.
That's going to become a lot tougher when, again, the forces get larger. But with just one squad on the table, I don't think it's going to be a big deal.
Right. So just a couple quick catch-ups here. So Kaz is asking, what the heck are you rolling in, G? And then because science teacher goes, looks like an ashtray. It's a 3D printed castle turret, if you must know. Because I can't find my dice tray. So.
Oh, no.
It's actually a 3D printed, I printed from Printable Scenery. Little plug to them. Anyways, all right, so I got 3 orders. So Fire Team Bravo, that's the one with Sergeant Rock, they're going to move directly west along the building. So we're going to double time it. So we'll move their full 10 inches if possible.
Directly east along the bottom of
I'm
the
sorry,
building?
directly east. Yes,
Okay.
did I say west? I said west, didn't I? East.
All right, they're already through the tree. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. I'll just move 10. How about
okay.
that? Do you want the sergeant in front or?
Put him in the middle.
Okay. And the rules specify about 1 inch, or does it say never more than 1 inch?
It says 1 inch, yeah.
Okay, so again, these bases are approximated for 28 millimeter miniatures. Obviously, they're not really miniatures, but they're meant to look like miniatures with a little round base, complete with little terrain on them. It's always important to put attention into your base.
Yeah.
So yeah, there they are rolling down the road, or not the road, but along the southern part of that building. They're kind of keeping their weapons. I don't think facing is a big thing in this game.
Is there any way you could switch the 249 and the 16?
You want the 249 in front?
Yep.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep. And yeah, there they go. So again, these most of the 28 millimeter miniatures, for people who are now in the chat who might not have been in before earlier, most 28 millimeter miniatures that I have, again, I'm not really a 28 mil guy, they have a base that's about 1 inch. So again, that's our scale, and these are a little bit smaller than 1 inch. Basically, I made my 28 millimeter miniatures.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're using as like a shorthand for our dispersion roll. Is a little bit more than a base between each base is kind of what we're going for here. Okay, that's it for the sergeant and Fire Team Bravo. Over here to Fire Team Alpha.
Yep.
Again, for people in the chat, there's not really a command radius that I'm aware of for the Americans / British coalition forces, because radios, headsets, throat mics. The Taliban, however, do have a command radius that they are restricted by.
Yeah, I can't see that part. Yeah,
that particular rule.
Yeah,
it's in the book. I've seen it.
Well, no, I've seen the rule about the radios, but nothing for as far as your leader has to be so many inches to all your units.
For the coalition, no.
Yeah.
There's definitely no rule for that, because of better communication technology.
Yeah.
But the Taliban, which are again pretty much running this war on hand signals and Nokia, construction site, radios or whatever. Yeah, they have to be in line of sight, or if not within line of sight, at least within 15 to 20 inches, depending on the command level of the Taliban command team. There's like local groups and regional command groups or whatever. So, Fire Team Alpha, are you guys going to keep going through that little lumberyard there and hugging that wall?
Can you zoom out a little bit, please?
Yeah, there are guys to the north. Be careful.
Yep. You know what?
You have one potential threat here.
I'm going to just go into watch and wait mode with those guys.
Okay.
I think they're going to
for both your orders?
Yep.
Okay. Cool. So these guys are just going to hold in place.
Yep.
I just like using my little CBS chalkboard here.
I know, right?
It's startlingly fun. Okay. All right. So they're going to stay put. Then that's the end of your turn. Did you want to move these guys up a little bit so that more of them can bring weapons to bear? Because right now, again, we're like learning the game, so I'm not, we're not going to be like,
what's the range on those? Let me look at the ranges.
Oh man, the range is
30 inches. I mean, individual's 30, section is 40. So, because you know what? Can you move the last two guys up 2 inches?
Yep.
I mean, I'll roll a die just for.
No, but if you're only moving 2, it's fine.
Okay.
In fact, you're only moving 2. That's even if you rolled a 6, that becomes a 3. -5 is 2 anyway.
Okay.
So yeah, 2 inches is kind of like your minimum movement.
Now I've got about a 180 fire arc ish, so that I'm covering both areas. Okay, sounds good to me. Hey, just want to say hello to Carl. I saw Ralph was on here earlier. Gaz is on.
Insurgent command range is 48.
What's that?
Carl Lowe says Insurgent command range is page 48.
Page 48. Look at him looking in the rule book.
Yeah,
Boom.
I've got the table here. I know it's there. It's either 15 or 20 depending on the level of the depending on the level of the group. Oh yeah, trust me. That's one other thing that we skipped. You're supposed to roll a D10 for support assets. Both sides get them. Obviously, both sides choose off of different menus. You get Apaches, Blackhawks. I mean, depending on how well you roll. I get IEDs, mines, sympathetic civilians, tunnels, and things like that. I did deliberately kind of skip that because that's just a whole bunch of playing pieces that I hadn't yet created. So yeah, if this is a success, which I think so far it is, what we'll do is I'll just keep building up a library like I always do.
So yeah, I'm looking at the command table. Regional commander is a 20-inch command radius. Command team is a 15-inch radius.
Right. So that's why these guys were out of command. That's probably why they did the really smart thing and roll right up to that edge of that roof and walk into a grenade. Catch it like a potato and then looked at it as it exploded.
Skovak says at this size, an Apache would just destroy a building with half of the Taliban in it. I do not see a problem with that whatsoever.
No, I don't see a problem with that either. And again, we're playing on a pretty large table.
Yeah.
Again, these miniatures are carefully sized and the map is carefully sized. We're looking at a 6x4 table. If you had this set up in 28 millimeter, this is what a 6x4 table would look like. Obviously 6 wide and 4 tall. It is scaled, so to kind of give us a realistic, or as realistic as possible, virtually tabletop experience. It's not going to be perfect, obviously, but
I think it's pretty freaking awesome. I'm just going to say right now. I mean, I am definitely getting to feel the game, and that you did it all in less than 24 hours makes it even more amazing.
Thank you. That said, I'm still going to move my Taliban.
Flattery will get me nowhere.
This fire team up here is going to move through those trees along that wall, i.e. difficult terrain. So it's 1d3 -5 for their first movement order. That's a 5, so that becomes a 3. That's going to be 2 inches. I might just eyeball this because it's, only 2 inches.
Yep.
But again, center of the miniature there on the 7, that's going to be 1, 2, and then their second movement order. On a real tabletop, I'll just be like, I'm moving down to this corner. Do you have a problem with it? You would say no.
Right.
Again, we have an audience, so we're trying to go through the rules as they're written. And a 4, that becomes a 2 on a D3. So that's going to be 3 more inches, and that's going to get him 1, 2, 3. That gets into the corner he was aiming at. So they're pretty much taking up a little defensive position in the brush and behind that wall. They are going to have a lot of modifiers for when you start poking at them. Because number one, you're shooting through some trees here, 1 wall, 2 wall, and then they're hiding in brush as well. So I don't know how they stack in this game, but they're trying to be a little cagey, at least as far as how vulnerable they are to fire. They heard that grenade go off, and they're a little nervous now.
Don't you worry. they'll be able to, meet their maker and get their virgins and all that silliness.
Yeah. We're going to help you guys out. Don't worry about it.
That's right.
There is a table for that, like what happens to their morale or whatever when you take. But the only unit that's been hit so far, you annihilate. You never had a chance to roll morale or anything. Okay, I have an RPG team now, and I'm trying to keep my command team within 15 inches. They're not really. I'm probably fudging that part of the.
Well, now that team that just moved.
Yep.
I don't have a range.
Are you gonna try and take? I think you're within 30.
You think so?
There's 12. There's 24, and you're already there.
No, I wasn't thinking them. I was thinking the other team.
Oh.
The team that just moved, the RPG team. They're way out. I got to remember the scale of your table. So.
Yeah. So, yeah, these guys are in range, but they've got all kinds of cover bonuses.
Yeah.
This RPG team, they're closer. They're probably just now within 30, but they're behind these trees. They're trying to stay behind cover.
Yep.
This command team is actually kind of in the open, but yeah, they're really far away. This is when you bring that M40 sniper rifle or the M24, the old battle rifle version.
Just bring a Barrett. Just put a 50 cal down it.
I need to get a Panzer leader map for that kind of a shot.
Boom!
That's like the bullet literally hits next turn,
Yep.
Right, the bullet's inbound. It's in flight. We'll see what happens next turn. Okay, so that's going to be all my movement.
Okay.
Oh, you know what I never did? I never rolled orders. Sorry. Oh, wow. Well, I only have 3 orders left. So you know what? I just rolled a 1. Hopefully everyone saw that. I just rolled a 1. I only have 1 commander, and that gives me 2 orders.
Yep.
And I just moved 3 units, so I'm going to move this RPG team back where they came from. And yeah, that's what happens when you don't have enough commanders and you roll bad order dice. So they're confused as far as where they should go, and the commander's like, "Go, damn you!" And yeah, something happened. The Nokia didn't work. All right, so that's going to be the end for the Taliban turn. Everyone took 2 order phases except for that 1 RPG team, which is still sitting by that little tree line, wondering what to do. All right, and that's going to be back over to you for the beginning of turn 3.
Okay, so let me see here. I have nothing. Okay, if we go down the phases, so rally phase, I have nothing to rally.
First is the rally phase, then the casualty phase.
Yep.
You've suffered no casualties. Yep.
So I'm now into my activation phase. So I have to roll a dice to bring up. Let me pop that in here. So 1d6. Yep. I got a 5 plus my Sarge gives me a 1. So I get 6 orders.
Plenty of orders, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what I think I'd like to do is I would like to initiate my 203 gunner in Fire Team Alpha. That's the one over on the wall there in the woods pile. I would like him to lay down.
Yep. Sorry. Yep. Other episode.
Yep. That's Team
yep.
Alpha. That's Fire Team Alpha there. Let's have them pop smoke.
Okay.
Right up. If you could just a little bit more. I like to put a smoke right in front of that wall where your guys are.
Okay, that would be an HE shell.
Yep.
So we just set up an aiming point.
So do I have the range? I should have range.
I think the range of that
it's 20 inches.
According to 20 inches. Well, we can see how far 20 inches goes.
Yep.
There's 12, and there is another 8. So almost. So not right in front of the wall,
but close enough. Close enough for government work.
There's 12, and then 8 more on those. Lanes you up about this line here.
Yep.
If everybody can see that. So yeah, 12, and then 8 more. somewhere along that line. That's pretty much the range of that weapon, so I'll put it right there. Okay, now you're at 20 inches, so the chance to hit is going to be a little different. The wood pile does not, it affects movement, it doesn't affect line of sight. Where is the 203 gunner? There he is. You are shooting through some trees. That's going to be a penalty, or do you want to shoot like around the tree? Do you want to shoot further to the right? Oh, I'm sorry, to the left, like so.
Sure. I'm just looking at the smoke orders. It doesn't say anything about the grenade launcher. It just says smoke grenades, which is only 4 inches away. But we're using an actual grenade launcher to pop smoke.
They make smoke grenades for the 203, don't they?
Yes.
In real life?
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
Sure, the heck do.
One thing I don't know is how big a smoke cannon is.
Well, according to this, it says a 25 millimeter smoke marker. So something in 25 millimeters.
Okay, that's about an inch. That seems a little small, but it might help a little. I can certainly make one for the game table.
It says, yeah, each larger unit such as sections have 4 smoke, blah, blah, blah. Throw them. Player must give a throw grenade order, which we're just doing a fire order for this.
Yep.
Then roll a scatter die and a D3 to see how far off the throw is. Do you need to do that for a 203?
No, that you do a regular, I would do a regular HE check.
I would do the same. I would do the same.
You're pretty much firing a grenade, same as any other grenade, just this one creates smoke instead of an explosion.
Yeah.
Which means you would set up an aiming point. You would get a D6 check based on how far away you are. You're no longer within 10 inches. You're now at 20 inches.
So I need a 3+.
A 3+, and then if you're shooting, if you want to take this aim, hold on, let me get my little marker out. You want to take that as an aiming point instead of this, because there you're not shooting through
Yeah, let's do that. Let's just do that.
Shooting not through the trees?
Yeah, not through the trees.
Okay, cool. All right, so that's going to be here. And yeah, there's no other modifiers because that wall is not going to affect line of sight.
Yeah.
Not for an aiming point.
No.
If an enemy's taking cover behind the wall, that's different.
Right.
But yeah, and again, the woods don't, the wood pile, the lumber pile. So that's going to be, yeah, 3+ for 20 inches.
Okay. 4?
That's a hit.
Uh-oh.
Oh, hold on, I'm looking for something.
Oh, okay.
This is me looking in my library for a counter that we don't have at the moment.
Nah.
Oriskany Web Games. No.
Well, while you're looking for that, we'll take a commercial break. Stand by.
Oh,
The
awesome.
Sitrep podcast is sponsored by Black Sites, creators of incredible pre-colored terrain. Whether you're looking for terrain in 28 or 15 millimeter, they have a wide selection just for you. No matter the type of game, Black Site Studio has exactly what you are looking for. They have new releases all the time, and their catalog continues to grow. So the next time you're considering new terrain, jump over to Black Site Studio, and you will find just what you need. Remember to let them know you heard from us. Black Site Studio, the official sponsors of the Sitrep podcast.
All right, guys, we're back. Sorry about that. Just wanted to put some little graphic magic.
Yep, we're just stealing a one of our smoke counters from Valor and Victory. According to the rules, the only rule we're able to find so far, again, we haven't read the book cover to cover, is it creates a smoke marker, not a smart marker. That makes no sense.
Smart.
Playing war games with the Swedish chef from the Muppets. A smoke marker, 25 millimeters wide, which is roughly an inch, which is what I put on the map. So that's 25 millimeters of smoke. And
it says smoke blocks line of sight for individual fire, but units can fire section fire at units through smoke. When rolling, the player gets a -1 to hit.
For area fire only. Okay.
Yeah.
So you know, if the enemy's on the other side of a smoke screen, you can throw general fire at them and hope you get lucky.
Yeah.
You won't kill anybody, but you might pin them down. But
Yeah.
again, at a penalty. But anyway, the smoke marker is on the map. That is the first fire order for your 203 gunner. What's the rest of the fire team doing for the first order?
They're going to move up. You know what? Have the 203 gunner shoot a second round of fire, smoke.
Okay, like next to the first one? Or?
Yeah, it says then place a 25 millimeter smoke marker for a turn. On a second turn, this will increase the size to 60 millimeter marker, and stay this way through a third turn. So it grows as the turns go on. So let's lay down another smoke.
Okay.
And I want to pop that one on the other side of the wall. So to the southeast along the road. Yep.
Okay. So again, we're measuring from the M203 gunner.
Yep.
We're scraping, again, the wall does not affect your line of sight, but these trees do, so you're scraping past those trees.
Yep.
Anywhere south of that line.
Yep.
Is that cool where it is?
That's cool where it is.
Okay, roll a D3 to see where it goes. I'm sorry, a D6.
Okay.
Make sure it hits.
I got a 6.
All right, that lands right where you wanted it to.
All right.
Poof. Yeah, those seemed really small, but I actually like the idea that it grows.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like on the ground right now, sputtering, and it's eventually going to start spewing out a lot more smoke.
So Gaz says the 25 millimeter is assumed to be an infantry thrown grenade. Maybe you should double the size for an under gun round. So under grenade launcher.
Okay, so that would be 50 millimeters, then growing to 120 millimeters.
Well, that's what Gaz is recommending. I'm happy keeping it 25 and letting it grow.
Okay. Yeah, 40 millimeter round is not very big.
No. It's roughly the size of a baseball grenade when you think about the actual shell. So it says I agree.
Okay.
I agree, or use the 2 shots. So fire 2. Okay, so that's Carl. All right. So that is my grenade launcher. My rest of the fire team's just going to go into wait. Watch and wait.
All right, yeah. Like
watch
they do in
shoot.
Full Metal Jacket.
Sorry,
you don't
watch
throw
and
the grenade.
shoot.
You don't throw the grenade, the smoke grenade, and then run immediately. You got to give it time to pull out all the smoke. Let me remove some of these extra rulers. They're messing up my map. I don't want that. Okay, so if that's going to be both of their orders, then Fire Team Alpha is done. Is that correct?
That is done.
And we have Squad Leader and Fire Team Bravo down here to the south.
Yes. So Fire Team Bravo and Sergeant Rock. God, I love that name. Yep. They're just going to go right around the building and start going north.
So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then after that, 5 more.
Can you hold them at 5? I don't want to see what that puts them position-wise.
So the lead guy's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
And everyone else kind of follows him.
Correct.
All right. Maintaining about 1 inch between each base. Like stepping over all this rubble and trash and everything else that's kind of stacked up behind this building. Now, some of these crates I did get off the internet.
Mm-hmm.
But the rubble I did draw, and I just have it saved. Again, this stuff just gets built up over years. So I didn't. Well, yeah, a lot of this stuff is original graphics. I didn't draw it all last night. It literally just gets accumulated over time. All right, so that's first movement phase, and that's where the saw gunner is out front. Did you want to move your other 5 inches?
Can you pull back on the screen? I want to zoom out a little bit so I just kind of get an idea of the area.
You do have these 2 clowns up here.
Yeah, but I got some vegetation in the way. Let's pop them up to their full 10 inches.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Finally, the Rock has come back to Afghanistan. So you're going to call him the Rock. You get ready for my terrible impressions. I did that once at the studio. I walked in and before I even shook more insane, I just went, finally, the Rock has come back to Coleraine. I was like, God, who thinks he's the Rock? I'm like, oh, not me. All right. So that is both of their movement phases.
Yep.
Fire Team Bravo is complete.
Yep.
That will be it. Over now to the Taliban turn. Taliban will roll order dice super fast. Oh, there's my dice box. That was a 2 plus my 1 commander. Gives me order of 3. So I actually have all 3 of my orders now. This is where you use enemy smoke screens against them. Do we have a ruler up here I can use? Nope. How did that get there? That's what I was looking for, those smoke screens. Okay, I don't think you're ever going to have line of sight as I run down this ruler, so to speak. Oops, put that back where it is. Because by the time he gets south of the tree line for his line of fire, he's going to be clipping the north part of this building in this little bizarre tent and this truck.
Okay.
Which I'll just say moved up there. No, I'm just kidding. The truck's moving on its own to provide us with cover. That's both of their moves. Now to these guys. Again, I've already kind of screwed this up, but apparently I'm going to have to, in future Taliban games, I'm going to have to take more than 1 command team.
Or get a supreme commander or regional commander or whatever it is, 20 inches.
Yeah, even that's only 20. It's not.
So you really are going to have 2 if on a 6x4 table.
Which again, like Gaz was saying in the podcast, like a lot of these skirmish games play on 3x3s. I know Force on Force was often a 2x2 or a 3x3. This table might be really big. I mean, we've literally had 1 shot fired so far. So I might, the enemy forces may be, or I should say opposing forces may be a little too far apart. All right, now we said that the wall was not going to oppose or impede movement. So the lead AKM guy can jump over that wall and run across that street.
Why don't you do that?
Yeah, except the guys behind him are going to be impeded by, because they have to run through brush to do so. Also, yeah, you got enemy on fire watch. No line of sight, and then you're blocked by your own smoke screen. But once you get past that line, by the time I hit on my ruler 5 inches, you're going to be you're going to have a clear line of sight at 25 or so inches. Oh, what the hell? Put myself out of my misery. All right, he'll make it that far unless you have something to say about it.
Well, we are going to interrupt his movement with this fire, so.
All right, so you are going to be at a, okay, so that smoke screen was at 20, so that's going to be at least 25. Let me get another ruler piece up here. We're talking at 26, 27 inches.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's bracketed. That's another great force-on-force import. Not battle group import. I believe. What's the range?
30 inches.
Range is 30 inches, yeah.
Individual range 30, section range 40. So, yeah, 30 inches because it's only one guy right now, right?
Yep. Now, does the chance get lower with extended range? Or maybe that's why the ranges are so short. It's like, look, we don't want to have all these, stacked up modifiers for shooting at long range. So we're just going to give you a short range and say you can shoot full blast in there.
Well, there's a section fire chart with cover.
Yeah, but that's for pinning down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Not really.
Oh, obscure target. Insurgent has only wounded move. You using an assault order now. Target move last turn. I am moving.
Yeah.
So I get a -1 for that.
Yep. Doesn't say range.
No, go for it. That
Okay.
You know what? That might be. We were talking on the podcast about why the ranges are so short. That might be why.
Yeah.
To just make the game a little smoother. Otherwise, to be like, oh yeah, you can shoot out to 117 inches, but once you get past 30, you're -1. Once you get past 36, you're -3, -90, or and then you have this gigantic chart. Maybe the guys are just assumed to be only taking close range shots, so no penalties for range, but you have a relatively limited range.
Yeah. All right. So I'm looking at a -1 for movement. D6 dice.
Yeah, and how many guys? Oh, it would be the whole group, right? Or
Yep.
is the whole group shooting at one guy?
Yep.
Okay, except for the grenade launcher guy, because the grenade launcher guy fired grenades.
Correct. So everybody else is at 16 or at M4, basically same rifle.
Yeah.
So
240, the 249, I think it's 3. We counted that as a light machine gun. 1, 2, 3. I think there'll be a twin total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dice, if I'm reading that right. Light support weapon, light machine. I don't know what they mean by light support weapon. Maybe they mean like a PKM or something. Because they have. Okay, let me get back to the chart here. They have assault rifle, obviously.
Yep.
And then they have light support weapon with a firepower of 2. Light machine gun. I like saws. I'm just gonna say that I like that.
Well, they have the saw identified as a.
Is that on the other chart? I mean, it's a copy of this chart, but I think in the text part of the PDF, they have one extra.
They call a saw a light machine gun, LMG.
Okay, perfect. All right, yeah, that's what I thought.
Yep.
Yeah, so then it would be 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2 for the two. So
5
M4,
dice.
So it's total of 5.
All right, so I'm rolling
Subtract
5 dice.
5 dice. Subtract 1 from all the results. You can't kill me.
I have a 6, a 5, a 3, a 2, and a 2. So I got a 5 and a 4.
A 5 and a 4. That is 2 wounds.
Yep.
So apparently, all the Taliban have to do is run around a lot, and they can almost never die. Except you can. One thing I like about this game so far is it definitely, wounds get worse. Big time. So, except now I can't find that chart because I hate my life. Okay, D3s. You took the shot, so I guess roll the D3. I can't remember in the rule book who actually makes the roll, so it doesn't matter. You roll 2 D3s to see what those 2 wounds are.
Okay.
And it can either be a critical wound, a severe wound, or a slight wound.
All right. Let me recenter my dice turret here. How about a 5 and a 3?
A 5 and a 3 is a 6 that a 5 becomes a 3. That's a slight wound. And a 3 becomes a 2. That is a severe wound.
Which means what?
It means that he is at penalties to do pretty much everything. His unit as a whole takes pretty much no penalties.
No, you get a
I'll have to look
-1 to hit on because I think you're in martyrdom when you're wounded. Yeah.
Okay. I'm more familiar with the rules on what happens when coalition forces are hit.
Yeah.
The whole team gets cut in half for firepower because it's assumed that not only is the guy has problems, but someone else in the team is taking care of them.
Yeah, that rule is under first aid on page 24 for coalition forces.
So we got a tier 2 and a tier 3 wound on this guy. And all right, rulebook time. I believe that's in the intelligence section later on in the group here. I don't want to show too much of the book here on screen, but I like how the book is laid out in kind of a almost like an order section.
Uh-huh.
Intelligence brief section. I have to get to the intelligence brief section. Searching. Yeah, here we go. 20 inches and 15 inches. Okay. Resolve test combat chart.
Insurgents will also fight on regardless of casualties. However, they are still human. Insurgent players only need to complete the rally phase and activation phase due to their lack of medical units and assistance during battles. If an insurgent unit is destroyed, then any unit within 10 inches must take a resolve test. So there, you just go down and...
Enemy is very determined, sometimes so high on drugs that it takes a lot to put them down. An insurgent unit that's taking KIAs and wounds may still continue to fight. So there's no stabilization check.
Nope. They just bleed out.
I was just going to say, when do they ever get worse then? Because the only way you ever get worse is when you
don't you have to do a fail a roll?
That's what I thought.
But you have to go back up to the other phase.
Yep. All right. Perfect. Totally. All right.
So that's the stabilization there.
Right. Timely and proper aid. Okay, that's someone a D6 can actually just get straight out healed. Although your soldiers are trained in battle. Okay, no medics.
Because if you don't make it, don't you go up a wound category?
Yeah. But if I never have to make that roll, then how am I ever going to go down? If I can't make it, I can't fail it either. Triage is very important. When someone is wounded, it's vital their wounds are okay. Opponent has rolled wound kits during individual fire. Yeah, it goes into what happens when you're when coalition forces are hit, but not very much when the Taliban is hit. I understand this is all for coalition.
Yep.
And then we're into vehicles. All right, so that's why I was hoping it would be down in the insurgents. The intelligence brief is mostly about how things work for the Taliban. The LSW was a section weapon for the British, the extended barrel. Okay. Palpatine cackle. Oh, man. All right, sorry, guys. We're probably not doing this right, but...
I'm assuming that each turn you elevate their wound up to the next level until they die.
That
I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. I mean, do you see anything that's clear cut on this?
Not clear cut. In fact, if anything, it's contradictory because it says in the intelligence corps briefing that the Taliban don't have to make a stabilization check.
Right.
Which means that they will never fail insurgents often fight regardless of casualties. However, they're still human. Insurgent players only need to complete rally phase and activation phase So they never make a casualty phase due to the lack of medical units and assistance during the battles. If an insurgent unit is destroyed, you might be right, but it just doesn't say that. That's saying KIAs as an insurgent unit. All right, yeah, I think we're just going to go with that, with what you're saying. It sounds right.
Okay.
That I'm assumed to automatically fail a roll. Basically, well, then even a scratch is going to kill him eventually. I don't know. And again, they are Taliban, so we'll figure it out later. I don't want to stall the stream for this. Okay, so this guy here is going to make the same run, except he has no opportunity fire coming at him. He has no Overwatch fire coming at him, but he does have to run through some brush before he can jump over that wall. Ergo, he's going to take 1d3 off of his first movement fire, not his second. So his first one, he rolls a 1. On d3, he rolls a 1. So that means he has a total of 9 inches of movement. Same there. Oh, I'm not showing my dice, sorry. And for the third guy, or I'll start the fourth guy. All right, he's going to lose 2 inches off of his movement. In fact, that may mean that, strictly speaking, he's still in the woods when his second order phase starts. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so that 3 is, again, it's D3, so that 3 is read as a 2. Therefore, he only gets 3 inches of movement. Now his second movement order starts. He's still in the woods. He has to take a D3 off of his second movement order as well. 4, that becomes 2 inches. Come on, man, stay on camera. So that's going to be 3 more inches total. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, he doesn't get very far at all. In fact, if anything, it looks like I'm somewhat in violation of dispersion here. But this guy's just like literally trying to keep up.
So then the question is, what happens if you get in that situation and you can't be in command control? Within that range. I don't remember seeing a rule for that.
Oh, you did?
No,
what
I did not.
Oh, you did? No.
No.
Yeah, I didn't see it either. I mean, I think that's like you have to keep your guys within 1 inch whenever you can. You're not allowed to split them up voluntarily. Obviously, my next movement order, I'm going to try and get these guys closer together, especially since one of them is now bleeding.
Uh-huh.
That literally doesn't make any sense. I'm still not clear on that whole casualty thing.
Well, because reading the casualty roll, if you're the Brit,
Yep.
Say you're a T1,
Yep.
You have to roll down to T2, T3, etc.
Yep. Well, those are I don't think you ever go up.
Right.
The only time you can go up is if you take a 6, which is a very minor wound, and then you happen to roll a 6. It's literally you slap a field dressing on it and you're fine.
Right.
You might be grinding your teeth a little bit, but yeah. Then if you fail the stabilization check, you go down 1. You go from 3 down to 2, or you go from 2 down to 1, or if you're already 1, you now expire.
Right.
But that's only for coalition forces, is the
exactly.
way. So does that mean if you're a severe wound, you get 2 turns and then that guy dies automatically?
Yeah, that wouldn't bother me. What bothers me is the level 3 wound. The level 3 wound becomes a 2, becomes a 1, then he dies. He dies in 3 turns from like a bullet graze. That doesn't.
Yeah, I don't know.
That part sounds weird. Obviously, the tier 1 and the tier 2 wound, yeah, I would get that. You would eventually bleed out. But other than that, figures that are T3s, this is all the casualty phase, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't, is it? During the casualty phase, you must make a stabilization roll. I guess the trade-off is that while he's still up, he doesn't, because even if a coalition casualty is stabilized, the entire fire team is cut in half for fire and movement. A casualty really slows down the whole fire team. That never happens with the Taliban. That might be the trade-off. You get hit, you're pretty much toast. Maybe that slight wound becomes a severe wound, becomes a critical wound, and then he just leaves. Okay, he's technically not dead, but he's combat ineffective, as opposed to a critical severe wound. Now he bleeds out and dies.
Right.
But in the meantime, he's not slowing down the rest of his team because no one else is taking care of him. Anyway, we're slowing down the stream too much on that question, so I'm not even going to worry.
Well, it's something we can reach out to them and see if we can get clarification on at some point. But so is that what we're going to do then? Just downgrade him?
Yeah, when we get to where his casualty phase would normally be, so at the beginning of his next turn.
Okay.
I'll turn that T3 to a T2. I'll turn that T2 to a T1. And then at the end of all that, his T1 is going to become a T0, which is KIA.
Yeah.
Even then, that's 2 turns, 3 turns away. He might do some damage before then.
Right.
Which, it kind of fits with, some of these, like jihadists or whatever. Like, I literally have 3 minutes to live. How am I going to use that?
Yeah.
Banish myself up or try to shoot, one of these imperialists? Sadly, we know what the answer is a lot of times. So maybe that's what they were going for in the rules. Okay. Sometimes when the rules are trying to, in some games, when the rules are trying to, it's almost a bad idea to try to apply like normal logic to it, because it's trying to describe what to us in our culture very illogical behavior.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make sense. No, exactly, it doesn't make sense. Welcome to Afghanistan. Okay, so I think that's going to be it for my turn. These guys moved up, these guys moved down, these guys made their little suicide run across the road there.
Okay.
I'm actually hoping that when those smoke screens expand next turn, I'm actually going to be hoping that those are going to help out a little bit.
Gotcha.
Here's one thing. I love doing that. That's just, I like using the other players' smoke screens against them. It always makes me laugh a little bit. It doesn't always work, but replace this just for fun. Now there's a big smoking crater in that building. Okay. We'll now go to, I think it's coalition turn 4 or 5, whatever the turn is.
Yep. 4. Turn 4.
There is a modifier for the insurgent, says Gaz, if they have KIA and wounded personnel when firing, but can't find anything about additional rules for non-coalition casualties.
Mm-hmm.
The individual guy gets slowed down, and then when people start getting destroyed, so when a coalition guy, individual soldier, is killed, the rest of that fire team makes a check. And that's what they call the unacceptable losses table. I've seen that. For the Taliban, they pretty much, instead of a guy, it's when a unit gets wiped out within like 10 inches or something. All other units have to make that same kind of a check.
Yeah.
That would have applied down here, but they were too far away from everybody else. But that would be the perfect case for when, and they can either go berserk and they actually get a little bit of a bonus, extra fire phase, or they can get scared and run away. And the coalition has something very similar, but for them it's like one echelon level down. It's within a fire team, as opposed to units in the total force. But we'll get to that. So okay, the beginning of the turn, I'm going to go ahead and expand these smoke screens. So 60 millimeters. We're just call it like that, and it's now their second turn. And then you say it stays like that for a third turn, and then it just dissipates?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so this is their second turn, hence the +2 there. And then on the third turn, after the third turn, we'll just take them off.
Yep.
You have no casualties. You have nobody pinned, so no rally phase, no casualty phase. We go straight to your order activation.
Okay.
D6 +1.
I got a 1.
Epic! You
So
can only move 2 units.
2 units. That's okay. No worries. So
I needed that.
to Alpha Team Bravo, or no, Team Alpha is going to move. Let's move them full out along the wall.
These are the guys in the woodpile?
Yes.
Okay.
So I got to roll a
they-
d6. I got
Yeah,
a
1d6.
6. I
That's
got a
going to be
6.
3
Yep.
inches off of the movement.
So 7
that
inches.
First move, well, actually, it's going to be a little bit less than that.
Yeah.
Well, it depends. Let me see. Yeah, when this guy moves 2, 1, 2, he's still in the woodpile. Yeah, you know what? That first guy's close enough, but these guys are definitely going to have problems.
Yep.
Because when they move their 2 inches that they're allowed now,
Uh-huh.
5 inches is the base minus the 3 you just rolled.
Uh-huh.
Put the 1 in the middle. Okay, it's going to be 1, 2. He's definitely still in the woodpile. So his second order is also going to be subjected to a new D6.
Yep.
So hopefully you don't roll another 6.
Yep.
So what's the second?
All right.
Second roll?
Second roll. 2.
All right, that's 1.
Yep.
So that's only going to be 1. So now you have 4 inches of movement. Oh. This is what happened with me with those woods up on my wall. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so the slowest guy winds up there.
Mm-hmm.
Then everyone else, I'm just going to go ahead and move them like 1 inch. And this guy started off further ahead. This guy was close enough where he steps over 1 more log and he's fine.
Okay.
And he gets the full 5 inches. One more tiny advantage, I mean, as far as playing like this with a miniature game is you can really zoom in.
Yeah.
I mean, doing this on a 28 millimeter table, I guess would be possible if you had like a magnifying glass. If you really wanted to get serious about, where the wood pile ends or whatever, but sometimes it's tough to, players are always asking me, hey, can you zoom out? Can you zoom out? Because it's very easy to lose sight of the big picture. So.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so that was both movement phases. All right, now down over there to the east, we can either move the sergeant or the fire team.
The fire team's going to move.
Okay.
Move them up 5.
Move them up 5, and then for their second order, do they want to go into some sort of Overwatch?
Yes.
Or...
Yeah, we're going to go into watch and shoot.
Okay, I'm sorry, watch and shoot. All right, let me get a ruler over there, and we'll move these 5 guys individually because this is going to get kind of important here. All right. So the sergeant is like taking a rock out of his boot or something. It's like, where are you guys going? All right, let's move the guy in back first. So
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He pretty much just ends up there.
Yep.
Second M4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the sergeant. M16-203, the grenade launcher guy. All right, now, does he want to hide behind these bushes? Does he want to get behind that barrel?
Put him behind the barrel, please.
Okay. He kind of tucks behind that little bit of cover there. It's like, why does this look like an Assassin's Creed board all of a sudden?
And can you put the 249 gunner into that nook just to the east of 3, the 3 inches there?
Yep. Everyone's still within an inch of each other. I think that's all 4 of them moved, right?
Yeah, that's all 4.
Okay.
That's a good point. Gaz asks, would the 60 millimeter smoke not be in all directions rather than just laterally?
That's a good call. Okay, so you know what I'll do then? I will copy this. And I'll just expand this thing until it is as big as...
There you go.
We lose a little resolution, but you guys get the idea. And again, I mean, even these aren't perfectly round, but I literally just had to grab this out of my old Valor and Victory files. Hey, with my Taliban squad strung out across the highway, I'll take all the smoke I can get. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Okay, so I think that concludes American turn.
Yep.
Epic. All right. I think this game is about to wrap up. Because we've already been streaming, what, 2 hours?
2 hours.
Awesome. These guys moved twice, so they're not in Overwatch, or I'm sorry, Wait and Fire.
Correct.
Watch and Fire. These 4 guys, however, are. They
Correct.
only moved 5 inches, so their second order was spent on Watch and Fire. Okay, these guys are going to get 1 movement order, this fire team, 1 movement order, and then 1 fire order.
Got to roll your
That's gonna be
dice.
the 2. Oh, damn it. Sorry. You are correct. Here we go. I got a 5.
Ah.
Plus 1 for my commander gives me enough orders to
Yep, you're good.
move my pitiful force. It also helps that I lost one whole unit on the first turn of the game. So, all right. This guy is going to go first. Oh, it's now the beginning of his turn. So that T3 becomes a T2, and the previous T2 becomes a T1. Apologies if we're not doing that right, but yeah, he is pretty much going to do what's expected at this point. He's going for it. Come on. I'm trying to do this super fair. So I'm putting the 5 in the middle of the miniature.
Okay.
The little arm of the 5.
Uh-huh.
So I'm going to move him to where he's now in the middle of the... he left behind one of his wounds.
Uh-huh.
Go back and get it. You don't get to leave it behind. All right, he's got line of sight on at least 3 guys. Now, are you going to interrupt his movement? Well, technically, I have to do the whole first. I think I have to. Well, before I fire him, I have to do the whole fire team's first order, which was his movement. So let me get that.
Yep. Yeah, you have to do the whole, and then interrupt them in the movement.
One, two, three, 4. He's going to stop there because what I'm trying to do is caterpillar the squad together as best I can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're still not within 1 inch, but they're closer than they were before.
So the question becomes,
I'll back him up.
Yeah.
That's even closer.
There you go.
That might make a difference on this guy's line of fire, but it's cheesy for me to just move all 3 of them like, hey, here we come, and this guy's still way back here.
Yeah.
The rule says you're supposed to keep an inch, as best you can. That's going to be a little long. That one's like, if you go from the edge of the base to the edge of the base, that one's legal.
That's fine. It's close enough.
Yeah.
It's close enough for government work.
Okay, now that group is going to take his second order unless you interrupt them.
I'm interrupting.
Okay. Go for it.
So we're going to do section fire. No, it's watch fire, so it's a different rule, right? So let's...
Section fire is when you're trying to suppress the enemy instead of kill them.
All right, so watch and shoot. So activate watch, shoot, order, declare type of... It says declare type of firing, individual or section.
Yeah. Yeah, you can use section fire in watch and shoot, absolutely.
Okay.
You just declare it now is when you would declare it now.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the choice. Do you want to kill 1 or 2 of them or pin maybe all of them to reduce casualties? Dun, dun, dun.
Dun.
Let me try my webcam.
Well, let's see here. It's guys, what should I do?
Here you go. Let's ask the chat.
Yeah, individual or section fire? Pin them or kill them? What should we do? Dun, dun, dun. I think we are going to go for... Well, but the question is, do I have line of sight on... I do not have line of sight on these back two guys, except for my 249 gunner, possibly. So using section fire would kind of be pointless at this juncture.
Well, it's section fire. I think you're going to pin down the whole unit.
All right, well, let's try it. We haven't done it yet, so let's try it.
I think that's how section fire works. At least that's how it works in other games. Like, I know we shouldn't be playing on other games, so to speak.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, that saw definitely has line of sight.
Yeah.
I don't think that barrel's going to block line of sight. You can just shoot over the damn barrel.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, it nicks the wall a smidge. You know what? The first burst of fire rounds off that wall a little bit, and then
adjust. Yeah. Let's try the section fire. We haven't tried it yet, so let's give it a shot.
Okay, the bad news for me is that I have no cover. So
that's right.
Open, I have a 6+.
So I got to figure out firepower, huh? Choose weapons that can fire and calculate firepower.
This is very battle group.
So I have 3 assault rifles and 1 LMG, so I'm looking at 6 dice, or 6 for firepower, right?
Yes. So that puts you on
5 to 8.
That's 5 to 8, and now let's get the range. All right, we'll aim at like the middle of the squad for range.
Okay, fair enough.
Because everything's like for the group. It's your whole group shooting at my. Oh man, satellite imagery there.
Excellent. UAV.
Oh, they have them too.
Oh, I know.
The orders. One of the orders for UAV is like stalk and follow. I'm like, oh no. There's a predator's like buzzing around over my head all day. No. All right, so the middle of your squad to the middle of my squad looks like
7 inches ish, 7, 8 inches.
7.5. I think it's like 5 to 7 is the bracket.
So we're in short range.
I love bracket games because, yeah, you are
2+.
I'm thinking of 5 and 4. Yep. Oh, hold on. So short, 5 to 8 is the firepower.
Yep.
Short range, natural, open.
Yep. 2+.
2. Yeah, looks like it. Okay, cool.
Whew. So, do I roll 1d6 or do I roll all the d6s?
No, you roll 1d6 and you're trying to pin down that group.
Okay.
This is the unit. This is the fire team.
So we're using it. Perfect. Okay.
My fire team or fighting cell as a unit.
Okay.
And then I do get a very slender chance to save.
I hate to tell you this, but it is a 6.
It is a 6. Okay, so I'm definitely pinned down. Then there is a save chart for that.
Is there? What are you saving for? You're in the middle of the open.
Oh, the save is that's atrocious. Effective cover save for open terrain is a 6. Yeah, I literally have to roll 6.
Bring your camera up. Dun,
oh,
dun, dun.
You don't trust me? I just rolled a 6.
Oh, no, we want to see the drama.
No, I'm just kidding. Alrighty, come on, get in there. All right, here we go. Here comes the 6, everybody. Close.
Oh!
Close. All right. Off-board support table. I'm looking at something here super fast. Cover save chart. Yeah, open is 6+. The same chart is right there. HEAP damage chart. Oh, that's for vehicle. Sorry. I could have sworn there was a chart in here about incidental casualties, even within area fire, or I'm sorry, unit section fire. If we're missing that, I apologize. But needless to say, they're pinned, and therefore they do not get their second action. All right, that squad is pinned down, and their reaction fire is over. I now continue my turn. Howdy. How you doing there? What's up? East Coast. That's his first order. His second order is to fire. Reaction fire has already been taken. Now I think you can give your guys 2 reaction orders if they literally don't do anything. I'm not 100% sure on that, but yeah, you moved and then your second action was reaction fire.
Right.
So first reaction fire was to pin down the first team. Now there's a single AK and an RPG. The RPG will not be using his AK. He'll be using his fire RPG for his HE check only. So the AK will fire by himself. So the AK fires. He has 1d10 because I use a different size dice. A 10 is a kill, an 8, a 9 is a wound, and a 1 through a 7 I think is a miss. Does that sound correct according to your
That
charts?
is according to my chart, yes.
Cool. So here's the AK guy that's with the RPG gunner. 1, his weapon jammed. I knew I forgot something. I'm supposed to bring ammunition to the battle. Yeah. Okay, now, other guy, my man RPG. Okay, here's the shot that I hope at least gives me some kind of bonus here or some kind of result in the game. We're going, again, we're back to the HE chart. Aimed HE, it's an HE shell. Within 10 inches, it's a 2+.
And it's got a 3-inch blast range.
Yeah, so I have to pick an aiming point.
Yep.
Let me do this by the numbers. Which, trust me, I definitely want to do. That squad is nice and tightly packed. I've put the aiming point right there on his dome.
No.
All right, so if it goes, it will affect 4 guys. And make sure it's outside where I don't get blown up by my own shrapnel.
It is.
All right, yeah. It's close. Okay. Oh wait, no, because the aiming point is there.
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
cool. All right, now I just have to hit. Dice time. Dice box time is a 2. It hit, but barely. All right, so that is a hit. It does hit there, and then it does. I think it says 2 dice per guy.
Roll a d6, see if the shot hit. Check the individual range chart. If success, roll the number of dice equivalent to the weapon's firepower rating, so it's 2. Roll the number of dice and compare it to the HE damage chart. Assign hits, figures, working out the target. So any 6s rolled to the nearest figure. Pins, count against. All right, so you're rolling 2 dice.
Yeah, here's the AP, the HE AP damage chart. The chart only goes to 6, so I think I roll d6s here, as opposed to the d10s I roll for like rifle fire. The chart only goes to 6. So here comes. I roll 2 dice. The AP, obviously, I'm not doing. Oh wait, AP is what? I think these 2 are reversed.
Wait a minute. Are you doing HP, AP, or HE?
I'm doing HE shell.
Right. So the HE firing individuals range.
Mechanical fault. This is for vehicles.
Which one are you looking at?
Oh man. Let me get my little. All right, so HE AP damage. Chart.
Yeah, you're looking at the wrong one.
Okay, I thought so.
There's a different one.
Aimed HE chart. Oh, that's to see if the weapon hits. I've already rolled that.
Right. No, there's a different one. There's an actually different chart. It's called HE damage chart is the title of it.
Let me see if I can find it here, or it might. Oh, okay, I see it now. HE damage chart. This one here is what we're.
That's it. Yep.
All right, cool. All right, so I roll 2 dice per figure because there's 4 figures in the thing. Is that what I'm talking about?
Let's see. Measure distance. We did that. Roll d6. See if we hit. You did that. If successful, roll the number of dice equivalent to the weapon's firepower rating. Roll the number of dice, so you're rolling 2 dice. Compared to HE damage chart, assign hits to figures working out from the target token. Any 6s rolled go to the nearest figure. Pins count against units, not individual figures. Therefore, measure to the closest unit from the target token and apply pins.
Okay, so I think we might have done that original grenade wrong, but because we rolled 2 dice per figure that was in the blast radius on that first one. I think I'm just supposed to roll 2 dice at all.
Yeah.
And okay, so I'm going to roll 2 dice here. And,
Well, I would have killed you anyways. You were still blown up.
Yeah, I'm going to roll 2 dice here and see what happens. Turn on Mr. Webcam. Oh no, wrong tool. Because if I rolled 2 dice per guy, that would well, it is an RPG going off right in a whole group of guys. Anyway, let's see what happens. That is a 2 and a 3. That is
Pin.
Man, 2 pins. All right, so
Yep.
that whole group is pinned.
Yep. That group's pinned.
Oh well.
Hey, it's still better than a poke in the eye.
That was a little disappointing.
Whew. Body armor. Honestly, though, if an RPG hit there with the blast deflecting off the wall, it should have messed him up pretty good.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, I didn't roll great. I mean, if I rolled a 4 or 5, I at least would have wounded somebody, but no worries. All right, so that group is now pinned.
Were you doing that as individual fire or section fire? Because that does make a difference.
I was doing it as individual fire.
Okay, so it's still a pin, but at a 4 or 5, it's an actual wound versus a pin, and a 6 is a kill. Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, same result for your dice roll, but...
Yeah. Good news is there's a sergeant right there. Okay, that will almost wrap up my turn.
Okay. Well, you got that command team up there if you're going to move them. Because I'm going to kick your butt next.
I don't doubt it. I made one move. I'm friggin' lost. Now, hey, look at the bright side. I'm all within command radius.
Yep.
Finally. And one fire team still can't see what's going on through the road smoke screen. Yay.
Oh,
all right, beginning of turn 3.
All right, so now we got to actually do a rally phase, eh?
Now we actually do have a rally phase, right. I believe the sergeant can rally. We have to look it up in the rules to see exactly how it goes. But the sergeant can roll, but then that takes him out of the dice pool as far as his...
Yeah. I don't like that. Where is it? Where is it? Okay, so first player rally phase, and this player can choose to unpin a unit using an officer NCO, for example, if they off.
What page are you on?
It's on page 6, and it's not a dice roll. You just use that officer action to unpin the unit. So I guess cool. I have no choice. I have no choice. I have to get those guys unpinned. So my sergeant will unpin that unit.
Close that down. All right, so the sergeant unpins that round, and then that's his
activation.
Well, I don't know if it's his activation, but it's definitely his +1 out of your die pool.
Yeah, no. It says, however, those 3 NCO officers would not be included in the activation phase. So, yeah, okay. you don't use that die. You don't use their die as an add-on for activations.
Yeah, it's a 1d6 plus number of NCOs.
Yep. So I it's just whatever I roll.
Yep.
So he can still activate. I just don't get the bonus for him in the orders phase.
That's what I think. Yeah.
Yeah. If I'm reading that correctly. All right. Well, let me roll for my activations.
I think Naz, Gaz says I think you are supposed to roll 2 dice for each in the blast area. That's what I kind of thought, but we'll figure it out later. But for now, we'll just keep going.
Shit.
Either way, we've done it wrong once. We either did it wrong before, or we did it wrong this time. But that also means that at least once we did it right.
Oh.
We're covering our bases. Oh no! Was it a 2?
That's a 2.
All right, so only 2 units can activate.
Yep. Fantastic. Fan-freaking-tastic. Okay. Fire Team Bravo is going to assault your guys just directly north of them there in the little vegetation.
Okay.
I don't know how assault works.
I think you get extra dice. And it would be very deadly if I saved anything for reaction, for watch and shoot, but I didn't. So.
All right, where's the assault rules? That's urban warfare, no. Artillery, no. Engineers, air support. Anti-aircraft, night fighting. Intelligence. Special rules. I don't. Do you see
there's an order called there's an order called like assault or something.
But I don't see it.
Like your training was, you will learn about carrying an assault and kicking the door in. Okay, congratulations. Giving an assault order. All right. That's the assault course. Unit is using an assault order. Modifier. Okay, it's a +1. Come on, PDF. All right, so I'm now on page, I think it's page 10.
Yep.
No. Okay, and I'm looking at on the modifier table, target moved last turn, -1. Obscured target, insurgent firing, has only wounded figures left alive. And yeah, the last one is unit is using an assault order. I think you add 1 extra dice.
Okay.
So.
But what's the actual order consist of? I mean, is there a movement to it? You know, do you get reaction fire as I'm assaulting you? Because I don't see anything regarding that.
AP can. Okay, however, HE and AP cannot be fired when using an assault order. Yes, you can't use H. Okay, I'm using the search option in the PDF here. Once the door has been opened, give the unit an assault order. This presumes the flashbang, grenades. Are you searching or not, machine? Let's go. Okay, on page 33. When entering a room, well, never mind the room part. Rooming a room, you may wish to activate 2 fire teams in a section separately. The first 2 fire teams in a section. So the first fire team uses a kick the door open. The first fire team then uses assault order. It moves 3 inches to one side of the door and uses individual fire at the enemy command team. It's like an example.
Yeah.
Is that what you get? You get 3 inches? How about a little rule that says, like...
I'm even looking under special rules for infantry, and I do not see assault listed.
I'm looking for the rules and mechanics for the assault order.
Yep.
And I'm literally not finding it.
Nope.
And the machine's not finding it either, so I'm not going crazy.
Nope. So they don't have a assault order rule. They mention it everywhere, but there's no rule for it.
Okay. Oh, here we go. Maybe we look on the chart. Assault. I'm here on the chart near the back of the book.
Oh, okay. There
assault.
You go.
Unit may move and fire 1 round of individual fire with a +1 to the die roll.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a powerful order.
Wow. I get a +1.
Oh yeah, we knew about the +1 because I've been looking at that.
Yeah.
Here, unit is moving an assault order.
Yep. That's it, huh?
So why don't you always use that? I guess you have to get within base-to-base contact or something. I don't know.
Or is it only you can move 5? You can't do a double. See, it doesn't.
That's not really clear.
No.
I mean, it's good enough for us now because obviously you're within close.
Yeah.
You know. They may be assuming certain things. Like right now, the way it's written, unless we're missing something, I would use assault order all the time.
Right. But I would assume you have to be within your original 5 inches, you know, you know, a
If you actually,
single
yeah,
movement, you have to be in there with that 5 inches. Does that make sense?
yeah. To get to the base, I saw something about base-to-base contact. But I think it was for. In this case, the unit must be given a fixed bayonets order. Oh, for crying out loud! Is there a fixed bayonets order in there?
Uh,
Okay. Yeah, I think, in all fairness, I think this book needed a come to Jesus moment with an editor. So, okay, here I am in the book.
yep.
Now I'm not going to be able to find it again. Okay, blood. There may be times you need to engage in hand-to-hand combat. To do that, give a fixed bayonets order. Okay, then I go to the charts at the back of the book, and these are the orders that you can give.
And there's no fixed
Move,
bayonets.
individual fire, section. I think sometimes they call it an assault, sometimes they call it fixed bayonets. The unit gets to move 5 inches to base-to-base contact. When in hand, gets a D6 per. This is a totally different rule.
Yeah, that's not even the same rule.
Oh my god. Okay. And fixed bayonets is not in the chart.
Nope.
And assault is not in the rules. The rules and the charts are not agreeing. Okay. So just to keep the stream going here, there is definitely in the charts a +1 modifier for assault. So yeah, if you wanted to move and then use the assault, you're within 5 inches. Move closer to the Taliban. The Taliban does not get opportunity fire because, again, half of them are pinned. Actually, more than half. 4 of them are pinned. 2 of them have used up all their orders. They don't have any watch and shoot activations left. And 2 of them are behind the tree line. They can't see you right now.
Yep. Well, we're not doing fixed bayonet, so we are doing an assault. So we'll put them up to 3 inches, right? That'll put them almost base to base.
There you go. Go on, damn you. All right, cool. So everyone's there.
Yep.
And then they're going to get the +1 on there, and this will be like both their orders. But the bonus is you get the +1 to all your.
So I'm shooting 4 M1s. Or M1s. Good. I got M1 on the brain. M4, M4s or M16s. So that's 1 each. Oh no, I got a 249 in there. That's 2.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Right.
Yeah, he's not using the grenade, so he's using his M16, M4, same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6. Yep.
6 D6s, and you get to add 1 to all those rolls.
Okie dokie. I gotta get another dice here. 6 plus 1. All right. Oh, wow. All right, I got a 1, a 2, a 5, a 6, and a 6.
Okay, the 5 becomes a 6, the 6 becomes a 7.
Yep.
So that's basically 3 guys killed.
Yep.
I'm looking at this guy, and this guy.
That makes sense.
I know this guy's about to die anyway, but I mean, who would the third guy be? You can't see these.
No,
two.
I can't see them. And it wouldn't make sense to be the other AKM off to the north west there. So yes, that makes total sense.
Cool. I'll just drop them over here into the brook for now.
That's fine.
Look for some fish, guys. Splash. You're not being flanked. That would be cool. If I had Where did those guys come from? Sergeant Peacock and Band of Brothers. It's a whole nother company. Okay, and that was one of your orders. Are you going to move the sergeant, or are you going to move Fire Team Alpha?
Can you zoom out, please?
Yep. And that smoke screen dissipates at the end of this turn, I think.
Yeah, at the beginning of next turn.
This is their turn. Yeah.
All right. We're going over the wall.
Okay.
And we're going to head...
The wall has no penalties. So we've said that a couple times.
Yep.
These walls would. This wall does not. And that's the thickness of the wall, and it's actually a slightly different color.
Yep.
But,
so we are going to move Do, 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 do. We're going to move right between the smoke screen, that general direction, and the awning. So move them 5.
Okay, so they're going to wind up about here.
No, I'm only moving 5. I'm only moving 5.
Oh, okay.
Then I'm going to take fire.
Oh yeah, cool. One, two. There is brush there. It's going to be no problem for this guy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No problem for this guy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Need me to take a roll for the brush?
Or you can go around it. You can kind of, either way, you're going to lose a couple inches of movement. So in other words, you can like dog leg underneath it.
Yeah, we'll dog leg it. It's going to be 1/2 dozen the other, so.
So that's basically 1 inch there, 2 inch there, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, he winds up like something like that. A little bit shorter where he was aiming. He was aiming at that dot. He's a little bit behind that.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
So
get rid of that noise.
Gaz says, don't forget your 10-inch morale effect. Not sure when that comes into play, though.
That would be now, because one whole unit, thank you, Gaz. Yeah, one whole unit has been wiped out within 10 inches of another Taliban unit. That's actually a really good point. So these guys that are pinned down do have a resolve test. Thank you, Gaz. That's a good call. All right, so you've got a resolve test. This is for Taliban, and you have unacceptable casualties. This is for coalition.
Okay.
So that pinned down unit that is within 10 inches and could see that. Actually, so does the command. The command group also has to do that. All right, so I'll roll for the pinned down squad first. Resolve test. The unit is, well, let me roll the dice and see what happens. I have to roll a D. Looks like 2d12. 2d12 on this table. 5. That's not good. Unit is concerned for their safety. They immediately get a take cover order. Well, they're already pinned, but I guess now the first order of my next turn is already spent for me. They have a take cover order. I don't remember what that does. Take cover. Unit does not move, gets a +1 to recover save. Oh, that's cool. I hope I didn't just lose the. Yeah, we just lost the Excel spreadsheet. That's okay. I can't save it. No worries. Probably when I put these things in there. Okay. So they actually get a +1 save now because they just went to ground.
Okay.
That also means that their first order for the next turn is already taken, which is going to screw me up because they just got given a +1. They just got given a take cover order.
Yeah.
By the roll. Now these guys were also in sight of when that happened because that RPG team was killed right here, and they're within 10 inches. So I'll roll for them as well. I don't know if you roll for command teams, but I'll just say you do. And oops. It's also fun when the Taliban gets scared and runs away, or they might go crazy.
Right.
Casualties reaction chart, resolve test. All right, come on, 11 or 12. Another 5. Yep. So they're also +1.
All right.
And not moving. So when my turn comes around, again, you get 2 orders per turn. One order is kind of the way I'm interpreting that. One order is already kind of assigned to them against their will. However, they do get a +1 cover because they're like really flat against their bellies there and out there in the open. So both of these guys are a +1 for the moment. Both of these units. My remaining 5 guys, 1 unit here, 1 unit there. They're both at -1 cover. Plus they get a 6. For your fire is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm assuming you're using.
Yep.
I shouldn't assume you're using the M16 or using the 203.
Oh, we should try the 203. Let's go with 203 with that, and then the 249 is gonna obviously as well. So.
Okay, so the 2 4 to 9 is worth 3.
Yep.
The M4 is worth 1. The other M4 is worth 1.
So it's 5.
5 dice. I get a cover save now of 5 plus instead of 6 plus.
Well, let's try the 203 first. Or
Okay,
we want to do it separately, or how do you want to do it?
You have to do it separately because it
Yeah.
uses
It
if
uses
the
the
203.
Yep.
The HE rules. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you would designate an aiming point.
All right, let's put it. You know where I'd like to put it? Right
Yep.
on the middle guy of the 3.
That is legal. You are more than 10 inches, so that's going to be a 3 plus.
Where's the turn? Yep, 3 plus, right?
Yep.
Okay. Let me. 3 plus.
Digging in with your eyelids, guys. There you
5.
go. All right, so 5. I definitely landed where you wanted it to.
Okay.
All right, now the way we're figuring this, again, we may not be doing it right, but at least we'll do it consistently. Is you get 2 dice.
Uh-huh.
All right, not 2 dice per guy within the blast radius.
Yeah, because it doesn't say 2 per guy. It just says 2 for the.
It says 2. Gaz says it would have been 2 per. So we did it both ways so far.
Right.
It doesn't matter, but with that RPG blast, we just rolled 2. So yeah, I would just say roll 2 now, and we'll see what happens with that. Any kills are automatically against that middle AK guy, and then pins work their way out from there.
Yeah.
Or I should say pins and wounds.
I have a 2 and a 3.
All right. HC damage turn, right?
Yep.
I have too many charts. There it is. Yeah, theirs are both pinned. Either individual fire or section fire. And either way, they were already pinned.
Yep.
All right, cool. So a lot of noise and some smoke. And then comes the 5 dice against for the small arms fire. 2 M4s and an M249.
Okay. And I need a good roll. I got a 5, 2 4s, and 2 3s.
All right, and okay. Normally I get a 6 save for being in open. However, I have to take cover order. So
5 plus.
Each, 5 plus. A 5 and 2 4s.
Okay.
That's what you rolled, right? So 5 wounds.
1 5, 2 4s, and 2 3s.
Okay, so the 1, 2, and the 3 is a miss, and the 4s and 5s are wounds. So it sounds like I took 3 wounds.
Yeah.
I'll try and save against 3 wounds with 3d6s. Again, I need a 5 plus. I saved. That 6 I don't think was in there. The hell, camera. All right, so I didn't save on any of them. All right, so it's going to be 3 wounds.
Okay.
Okay, so 3d3s to see how bad the wounds are. That is a tier 1 wound, a tier 3 wound, and a tier nice even split. One of each.
Okay.
They're all badly shot up. Let me roll randomly here. T1 goes on 1, 2, or 3.
Mm-hmm.
3. T1 is on the front guy. T2 is on back guy, front guy. Odds, evens for back, evens for front. And then the tier 3 is the last guy. So they all caught a piece of something, and they're all still pinned down. Oh no! Damn you! Now everyone in that group has now been injured, so now an actual Taliban penalty applies against them.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. There's actual when everyone in the Taliban unit has been wounded, they get a negative something. They get a -1.
-1, yeah.
Which means I'm not killing anybody because I can't roll a 10 when I'm subtracting 1 off all my rolls. Yep, I think that's going to be it because these guys can't even like help right now because even if they rush forward, you know what? Maybe I'll give an assault order. There you go. All right, so at the end of the turn, these smoke screens finally dissipate.
Yep.
Oof. I'll save one of each and just kind of put them off to the side. I mean, I doubt we'll need it this game, but. All right, so I'll give these guys an assault order. So they get to move up to 5 inches, and then they get to do their attack at a +1. These guys are not on Overwatch. So they literally, I might finally kill somebody. Or at least wound somebody, send somebody home with a Purple Heart before my entire force gets tabled. Then again, I am playing the Taliban, and I pretty much had the same numbers. I did not expect this game to be even in any stretch of the imagination. All right, so I only get 2 dice, and because there's only 2 AKs there, so it's 1 dice each. And with 1 dice each, I get to add 1 to my roll. So basically, I'm looking for 7-ups on my 2d10s. Hail Mary pass. Here we go. Do something. 3 and a 2. Oh, Taliban. I have a funny feeling the real war in Afghanistan was a little harder than this.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Taliban are not making a very good showing here. And yeah, I think that's going to be game because now your turn comes. I'm pretty sure this murderer's row here is going to have no problem blasting these fools at like point blank range. This guy literally dies at the beginning of his next turn.
Yeah.
The way we're presently interpreting the casualty rules for insurgents, which may not be correct, but I'm pretty sure it is. Tier 3 and Tier 2, I mean, they might get a shot back at those other guys over there, but I doubt it. In fact, they can't kill anybody because I have a -1 on my dice rolls, and I have to roll a 10 on a D10 to actually kill somebody.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's pretty much going to be it.
So what'd you think?
It definitely plays fast. We get through a game in 3 hours here. We spent half that time in the rule book. I think the rule book needs to get tweaked a little bit or cleaned up, like with the bayonet orders versus the assault orders versus making certain things more clear. But,
I agree.
Other than that, yeah, it works fine. It works fast. Things that we did not give the game its full credit on or whatever is, again, we did not do the objective system the way you're really supposed to. That might have affected the way, why the Taliban charged into the guns of the U.S. Army. They wouldn't have done that. If we're just trying to hide an IED factory or, a farm or who knows what, radio, tunnel complexes, things of that nature. And also if the Americans had to look out for civilians or were getting hit by IEDs, which brings me to my other thing. The other thing we didn't really do correctly was again, that's just because of limitations for what I had prepared for today, was the support options. With the support options, you roll a D10, you see how many support points you get for that particular game, and then you spend them on certain tables. And there are things that cost 1 point, like, hey, you get an extra medic or extra ammo or something. 2 points, 3 points, 4 points, there's a warthog on station.
Yeah.
And if you roll 5 or 6 on your initial D10, you'd be like, okay, I'll take a couple things or whatever. The bad news is the Taliban gets to do the same thing. And they're going off of another chart. Obviously, they don't get warthogs, but they might have tunnel complexes, friendly civilians, IEDs, and you don't know where they are. I have to mark down on a little separate map somewhere where my IEDs are, and those can go off. And friendly civilians or unfriendly civilians in your case or whatever. I can't remember what some of the other options were, but some of them are nasty. Just a free sniper, shows up and pops somebody. Extra douchekiness or something. There's all kinds of stuff. So we didn't do that. So this was a bare bones play test just to see how the basic system goes, with some exceptions being like how Taliban casualties work. We probably have it right. We're probably overthinking it, but some confirmation would be helpful there.
Yeah.
And then some of the orders literally don't make sense. There's also a couple mismatches between the charts and the text. some very fundamental. This isn't like nitpicky stuff here. This is like basic stuff. The charts in the back of the book say a 1, 2, a 4 is a miss, a 5 is a wound, and a 6 is a kill on coalition. And then earlier in the book on page 11, it says something different. There's also a mismatch between things like fixed bayonets order and the assault order. I'm looking at clearly those two are supposed to be different things, but assault order doesn't seem to be mentioned very clearly in or maybe we're just not finding it in the rule book. And then fixed bayonets doesn't appear on the table in the back of the book, the quick reference sheet in the back. But outside of some small stuff like that, yeah, it seems to be running great. It takes some ideas from Battle Group. It takes some ideas from Force on Force. I also saw in the chat things like chain of command were mentioned. It takes a lot of narrative, puts a lot of work into narrative. That's the part we did not give the game a fair shake on, in all honesty. Their narrative system, like the different hidden objectives and so on, and the way that builds into a campaign. Again, we have to. In order to give this game a really good, a full, fair shake, we'd have to get answers on a couple of those questions. I'd have to build a few more assets on this for things like T-55s, Warthogs, Apaches, Blackhawks, civilians. We have to get some civilians on the table because you have suicide. They have detailed rules in there for suicide bombers, and you don't use an actual unit for them. You just mix them in with the civilians, and you never know where they are. You have to search enemies. You have to, you're not allowed to fire until you've been fired upon. If you're using rules of engagement table, then like that first order phase that you took it's just literally against the rules because you fired on them before they fired on you. Little things like that. So again, I wasn't trying to turn this into like a tournament or a competitive game by any stretch of the imagination. Again, I would never take just 10 Taliban against 9 U.S. Army, regulars.
Right.
And expect to walk away with, all my body parts still attached. But again, we were just, giving this game a quick push through the system, putting it through some of its basic paces, and seeing how it goes.
Perfect.
And before I forget, Howard was on our web conference. Welcome, Howard. Thanks very much for coming out. And of course, making sure I'm not missing anything. Missing anything in the stream here. Gaz is still with us here in the stream. They do have a -2 while being wounded when shooting. That is the -1 that's why I didn't even bother with that pinned down squad. That pinned down squad at the beginning of my turn, that AKM could have unpinned them. That leader would have unpinned them, and then they would have at least then they have the take fire order, which we already talked about. They could have at least gotten a return fire check back at that squad that fired them up over here, guys, to answer your question. The thing is that even with 10, I have to roll a 10 to kill. And if I have to add 1 to all my rolls, I literally can't do that. Even if I roll a 10, that becomes an 11. I'm sorry, I have to subtract 1. So even if I roll a 10, it becomes a 9. So there's no way I can inflict a meaningful casualty.
Right.
At this point of the game, because there are too many wounds. There's too, which makes sense. These Taliban guys got the hell kicked out of them here. Fixed bayonets and assault. Yeah. We're still learning the rules, and we're still. The rules do have a couple small hiccups in them. That's what it looks like. Either that, or there's an addendum that we don't have, or there's something that there's a fact page I'm not aware of, or something like that. But other than that, like I said, it seems to take the good ideas out of several game systems, put them together into a nice cohesive whole. The book definitely does have some very, very intense Afghanistan-specific features into it. Again, there's rules in there for rules of engagement for what you almost feel like you're playing a police force rather than an army.
Right.
There's rules in there for searching people for weapons, what they look like when you get to them, whether or not they're identified as actual enemy combatants or whatever. It's not just I have a force, you have a force. Let's fire and maneuver. There's looking for people wearing suicide vests and looking for IEDs. There's dogs in the game, for looking for bombs or drugs or who knows what. So we're just scratching the surface of this, but so far, I can't really complain. I mean, a few. I stress the word nitpicks. They're definitely nitpicks. A few nitpicks here and there, but definitely definitely above average. That's for sure.
Excellent. Well,
yeah. How about you? What did you think of it? Besides the fact that you tabled my force and didn't take any casualties. Other than that,
well, we know that's just the way this game rolled, but it, I almost wish the rule book was a little clearer on the rules. I like the story aspect of, they kind of try and make the rules and fold into this narrative and a story, but an index would have been immensely helpful. Secondly, I like a more straightforward rule book myself. This is your combat section, section 1. Now I'm breaking it down to Avalon Hill days. Rule 1.11, is this.
Sounds like a Panzer Leader player there.
Right?
Rule section 1, paragraph A. I mean, they literally read like legal documents.
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
So,
but that's the bygone
no,
era.
I think they just need to, maybe the second edition of the rules or the reprint, with a good editing, might make it a little bit clearer, because there is a lot of ambiguity in some of the aspects.
Yeah, how those how that high explosive table really works. It's supposed to be 2 guy,
and there's a lot of tables for a miniatures game. I don't know if.
Yeah, which is weird. Usually, a lot of tables result in good clarity. But,
yeah.
I'll say this much: if you're going to give this game a try, yeah, it's recommended to give it a try.
Yes, most definitely.
This is going to be like Gianna and I. This is 2 people getting together who understand this kind of material, at least to a somewhat of a degree, and are just ready to have a good game. This wouldn't be a game that I would take to a tournament or a convention. I would not want to play this game against a rules lawyer, because the rules, I don't think, support that yet. At least in a few places. The game, again, is which is a credit to the system. It's focused on narrative play. And the only issue with narrative is, and this isn't about this game, this is just narrative games in general, is narrative almost, not universally, but almost universally equals ambiguity. If you're telling a story-driven game, you can't have a rule for everything. It's going to rely on the players to come to an agreement and just want to have fun and, have an experience like that, as opposed to we're going to sit down and have a chess match where there's never a 4-up. There's never let's just see how it goes. Odds evens kind of a check. This is, rule section 5, paragraph A, subsection 3 says this, except in cases of see appendix D. There are rule books written like that.
Yeah.
This is one of them, and that's not a bad thing, but just be aware that that's the kind of system that we're dealing with here. Again, we didn't shine a spotlight on some of the game's best features, admittedly, and with full. Again, we didn't do the campaign, we didn't do the support, we didn't do the hidden objectives, and again, we're playing a miniatures table without miniatures, so there's also that.
Now, I think, for a virtual table, I think it did an amazing job. So I still got the feel of it. So.
All right. Yeah, once you drop those smoke screens here, and I was like, okay, if I can concentrate all of my force against half of hers, I'm sure I'll get wiped out eventually. I was hoping that RPG would do at least something.
Yeah.
We may not have done that RPG right, but that RPG landing right in the middle of those guys, at least send somebody home with a Purple Heart.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, a lot of what you see in, Afghanistan battle, like real life battle reports, is a squad goes out, they tangle with a couple cells of Taliban, they get 4 or 5 KIAs, they take some prisoners, there's a bunch of blood trails where wounds are, and we have like 2 or 3 wounded, and one of them is bad, and or God forbid one of them didn't, make it back to the helicopter or something, but the kill ratios are supposed to be very off balance. I was hoping to at least get 1 serious wound though, or maybe even a
yeah.
But,
so
it didn't work out.
All right, guys. Well, that just brings us up to the end of our 3rd hour of the broadcast, so I think we'll cut it there. Any last thoughts, Jim?
No, I'm pretty much definitely would be interested in trying this again.
Mm-hmm, most definitely.
Again,
like a full-blown rule,
we're gonna have to. I mean, the map was definitely big enough. In fact, if anything, it was too big. But we would definitely want to make like the infantry are pretty easy, but there's other assets I'd have to build: helicopters, vehicles, technicals, things like that, JTLVs, things of that nature. They do have rules for those in the book, so it is supported. I just have to make the assets for it.
Perfect.
Here in Photoshop.
All right, guys. Well, I had a good time. It's a nice intro to the basic mechanics of the game. Obviously, we had a few questions here and there that hopefully we can get answered for you, and then maybe in the future we can do a full-blown hidden objective with all the assets and all that to give you the real taste of the game. So we appreciate you coming along and commenting, and to all our Patreon supporters, we appreciate it. And we have a new supporter, Gaz. Thank you very much.
Sweet.
So to all you guys, we appreciate it. Check us out Thursday for Hobby Night, Present Arms. Tuesday night I might jump on and do some DCS and jump in the A10 and do a mission. Or if I can get the F-18 up and running in VR, we'll definitely get a mission in. So
I was listening to the podcast today. Were you really trying to dogfight with a Fox bat with an A10?
Yep, of course I was.
All the big 25 has to do is hit the gas, and he's like 5 zip codes away. There's one thing a big 25 can do is it can move very fast in a straight line.
Yes, it can. Yeah, I tried. It didn't work.
Yeah.
It was like the classic line in Top Gun. Where'd he go? Where did who go?
Yeah. Once the MiG-25 opens up its afterburners, they're approaching relativistic speeds, but at high altitude as well.
Yeah. So, all right, guys. We will see you soon. And in the meantime, this has been Jim and G for C.Q.B. from the Sitrep podcast, looking at Contact Front from God's Eye Games. And thank you for joining us, and we'll see you soon. Take care.
The Sitrep podcast is sponsored by Black Site Studio, the creators of incredible pre-colored terrain. Whether you're looking for terrain in 28 or 15mm, they have a wide selection just for you. No matter the type of game, Black Site Studio has exactly what you are looking for. They have new releases all the time, and their catalog continues to grow. So the next time you're considering new terrain, jump over to Black Site Studio and you will find just what you need. Remember to let them know you heard from us. Black Site Studio, the official sponsors of the Sitrep podcast.